Welcome to Fantasy Audiobook. The villain starts from dual cultivation with the protagonist master. Chapter 41. Everyone here is a cultivator. Eating is not a necessity. What's the point of eating? If I stay here any longer, my chastity will be compromised. Lu Chuan prepared to refuse. All right, we were just about to go to town to eat casually. If we can solve it here, it would be convenient. Sorry for the trouble, madam. Su Lianlian spoke first. While she was talking to Yan Lu with her mouth, she transmitted her voice to Luo Li and Lu Chuan. Don't leave in a hurry. There may not be any clues in the animal pen, but there might be something in the room. When she goes to cook, we can search the mayor's house for a while and see if there's anything worth noting. Luo Li obediently replied, and Lu Chuan could only agree. They thought they would be free from the harassment of the evil woman, but they didn't expect to continue for a few more hours. The disappearance of the disciples from the Immortal Gate had nothing to do with the mayor. At most, it was related to Yan Lu, that seductive woman. Zhuang Liwan and his son were actually victims as well. When Yan Lu heard that her plan had a chance of success, she began her performance. She coughed lightly and then said softly, "You are all esteemed guests from the Immortal Gate. How can you say it's troublesome? During the time I cook, you can visit the mansion. For dinner, we need live chickens. But I'm too timid to kill. Can the immortal help?" She looked at Lu Chuan with a helpless and sorrowful expression, revealing the vulnerable side of a woman. If Lu Chuan didn't know that she was an evil cultivator, he might have taken her words seriously. "Meng Qing, please keep Yan Lu occupied. We can search more thoroughly." Su Lianlian transmitted her voice separately to Meng Qing. She didn't care if Yan Lu had taken a liking to Meng Qing. It had nothing to do with her what they did. Zhuang Liwan was still taking care of the seriously ill mayor in the master bedroom. As long as Meng Qing didn't let Yan Lu leave, she and Luo Li could thoroughly search the mayor's mansion. They couldn't let any clues about the missing disciples slip by. The extra reward of a few spiritual herbs might come in handy in the future. As long as she found all the spiritual herbs, it would be equivalent to achieving the golden core stage for herself. Besides, Lu Chuan was a genius alchemist. She believed he would gladly accept her request. Seeing that Meng Qing was not moved, Su Lianlian continued to transmit her voice. "This is all for the missing disciples of the sect. Please, I'm begging you." Su Lianlian knew Meng Qing well. He often talked about the righteousness of the sect. Plus, he had been pursuing her for so long. He couldn't possibly refuse her request. Lu Chuan sighed inwardly. Since it was little Lianlian's request, he would agree. He said to the still pretending Yan Lu, "I understand. Just tell me if there's anything I can help with." Yan Lu, seeing that Meng Qing took the bait, quickly changed her expression. One moment she was a pitiful and delicate woman, and now she was smiling brightly. "Then let's go to the kitchen now. The two immortals can freely explore the mansion. I will definitely make a satisfying dinner for everyone." Yan Lu hopped over to Lu Chuan, lightly pulling up his sleeve, and said with a radiant smile, "Meng Immortal, you're so kind. Please come this way. Let's go catch some chickens." Lu Chuan felt disgusted. Luo Li felt a bit complicated when she saw the two of them walking so close together. Since she was rescued yesterday, she had been secretly observing Meng Qing. Every move Meng Qing made Luo Li feel familiar, including the sense of security she felt when Meng Qing protected her yesterday. During these idle days, she had been recalling the years she spent at the Immortal Gate. She wanted to know if she had met Meng Qing before, but the answer she came up with was no. She used to mock her master for always thinking about senior brother Lu Chuan. But now, for the past 2 days, she had been thinking about Meng Qing. The difference is that Shizhen has feelings for senior brother Lu Chuan, while I only care about Meng Qing to some extent. Where does this familiarity come from? Lu Li shook her head and stopped thinking about Meng Qing. Now the most important thing is the sect's mission. The missing disciples are still without any news, and their safety should be the top priority. Su Lianlian and Lu Li searched together in the mayor's mansion. Apart from the main hall, the mayor's mansion has more than a dozen rooms, 7 or 8 of which are bedrooms, as well as a kitchen, storage room, and study. The storage room is the focus of attention, as it may hide someone. They carefully examined each room, hoping to find any clues left by the missing sect disciple in the mayor's mansion. On the other side, Lu Chuan was alone in the kitchen. After being brought to the kitchen by Yan Lu, she said she wanted to change into a durable and dirty-resistant outfit, and went to change her clothes. Lu Chuan looked around and saw a typical old-fashioned stove with various seasoning bags on top and a place to add firewood underneath. This stove is used to cook with firewood. The only difference is that there is no aroma of food in the kitchen, but instead it is filled with a strong medicinal scent. There were scattered herbs on the ground, and Lu Chuan took a closer look, feeling shocked. What a wicked woman! All of these are extremely potent aphrodisiacs. Lu Chuan knew that the mayor was not a good person, but his son Zhuang Liwan hadn't done anything outrageous. He was just tormenting innocent people in order to absorb their spiritual energy for cultivation. No wonder the demonic path is despised by everyone in the cultivation world. I overestimated them. Yan Lu's seductive and affected voice came, "Immortal Meng, you've been waiting for a long time." She leaned forward and pressed her weapon against Lu Chuan's back. Lu Chuan felt the touch of two soft objects behind him, and goosebumps rose all over his body. He quickly distanced himself, turned around to look at Yan Lu, and prevented her from making any strange moves. Yan Lu, feeling Meng Qing's gaze on her, slowly turned around. She was now wearing her most confident outfit and had sprayed a little aphrodisiac perfume on herself. HMPH, this won't seduce you. With my current strength, I can even defeat a gold core cultivator. What Yan Lu didn't know was that the seemingly ordinary cultivator in front of her had the rarest chaos immortal physique in the world, immune to all toxins. Not to mention ordinary aphrodisiacs, even the aphrodisiacs made by a medicine immortal in the soul formation realm would have no effect on him. Yan Lu was wearing a black skirt with a pure white apron tied around her waist. Her shoulders were exposed, and a large part of her fair back was also revealed. The tight-fitting clothes accentuated her well-proportioned figure, emitting a seductive charm all over. Lu Chuan frowned. Does this woman usually cook like this? Calming down, Lu Chuan decided to respond with countermeasures. This malicious woman won't take advantage of me. After completing the system's mission and killing that demonic cultivator, it will be your turn. The demonic path that cultivates by seducing men is a scourge even when alive. As a member of the righteous path, I must eliminate it for the people. Yan Lu said with a shy expression, if you keep staring at me like this little lady will feel shy. But it's really delightful to know that Immortal is interested in me. At this moment, Lu Chuan felt his fragile heart being struck by 10,000 blows. He could only barely recover by recalling the gentle smiling faces of senior brother Lin, little Lian, and sister Chu. Lu Chuan tried to keep himself calm and said indifferently, you're overthinking. Just tell me what you need help with, and if there's nothing, I'll leave. No. There are still many things I need your help with. But it's still early in the night, so we can take our time. Lu Chuan and Yan Lu arrived at the courtyard, where some ornamental flowers and plants were planted, and a few chickens were kept to catch insects. It was already dusk, with the sun sinking in the west, leaving only a small portion visible. The light gradually dimmed, and the courtyard appeared even darker due to the obstruction of the houses. Taking advantage of the darkness, Yan Lu approached Lu Chuan. However, Lu Chuan didn't give her a chance. Every time Yan Lu took a step closer, Lu Chuan would take a step back, keeping a distance between them. Seeing that Meng Qing kept her distance from her, Yan Lu stopped and said softly, Meng Shanren, to be honest, I'm actually afraid of the dark. Her words trembled, and tears welled up in her eyes, as if she really was afraid of the dark. It's okay, I'm here. Lu Chuan said slowly and decisively, displaying a masculine demeanor. It turned out that he liked delicate women. Yan Lu believed she had figured out Lu Chuan's preferences. She thought Meng Qing would say something to comfort her, but he disappeared in an instant. A cry of a chicken came from the courtyard. The next second, Lu Chuan returned to Yan Lu with a chicken that had been plucked. Here, I've killed it for you. If you're afraid of the dark, go back to the kitchen. It's bright there. Yan Lu took the chicken, trying to control her twitching face and forced a smile. Thank you, Shanren. No need to thank me. I'll go find my junior and junior sister now. You can busy yourself. Lu Chuan was ready to leave, but Yan Lu spoke again, Shanren, wait. The chicken hasn't been gutted yet. I'll trouble you again. Yan Lu believed that Meng Qing didn't notice her beauty because it was too dark outside. Going back to the kitchen, where the night pearl could illuminate, was her battlefield. Seeing Yan Lu's occasional sinister smile, Lu Chuan knew what she was up to, but he wasn't afraid. As a chi refining stage evil cultivator, she couldn't harm him. Alright, I'll be a good person to the end. Let's go. The two returned to the kitchen. Yan Lu cooked rice while Lu Chuan handled the chicken. As cultivators, their daily lives were convenient. They didn't need a knife to gut the chicken. With their spiritual energy, a simple stroke was enough. Sister Su, did you hear any strange sounds? Luo Li asked in confusion. That was a chicken crowing. It's probably Meng Qing catching chickens in the courtyard. Didn't Yan Lu say we'll have chicken for dinner? Su Lianlian answered. The two were in the storage room, checking if there were any items from the Immortal Gate. If there were, it would indicate a connection between the mayor's family and the missing disciples of the Immortal Gate. After checking so many rooms, everything seemed fine except for the mayor's room. Sister Su, there's nothing wrong here either. Let's go back to the hall. Su Lianlian nodded and returned to the hall with Luo Li. They sat on a bench and sorted out the information they had gathered from noon until now. In the kitchen, Lu Chuan finished handling the chicken. In order to prevent Yan Lu from saying anything unnecessary, he considerately cut the chicken into pieces for easy cooking. Yan Lu cooked at the stove, adding seasoning to the pot. Lu Chuan stood at the cutting board, supervising to see if Yan Lu put anything strange inside. Before long, the first dish was ready. Yan Lu scooped the dish and walked towards Lu Chuan. Yan Lu wanted to deliberately fall down. She didn't believe there was a man who didn't know how to cherish a beautiful woman. She wanted to see Meng Qing help her up, inhale the aphrodisiac perfume, and then smoothly seduce him, absorbing his essence while shifting the blame onto the uncontrollable Meng Qing. Lu Chuan thought Yan Lu was going to place the cooked dish on the cutting board and make way for him. When the two were less than a meter apart, Yan Lu suddenly lost her balance and fell to the ground. The plate of vegetables fell and shattered, scattering the cooked greens all over the floor. The sound of a person falling, the sound of the plate shattering. The kitchen was in the middle of all the rooms, and the entire mayor's residence could hear the commotion. Before Lu Chuan could figure out what was happening, Luo Li and Su Lianlian arrived at the kitchen door, with Zhuang Liwan standing behind them. Upon seeing his beloved wife fall to the ground, Zhuang Liwan immediately walked forward to help Yan Lu up. Xiao Lu, what happened? Zhuang Liwan asked with concern. It hurts, husband, I'm fine. Yan Lu, who had previously given Lu Chuan the impression of being different, now appeared as a pure and innocent young woman. Yan Lu continued, I'm really clumsy, I can't do anything right. I even trip while walking. I originally wanted to invite a few immortals to have dinner here and entertain them, but now everyone has seen me make a fool of myself. As she spoke, tears welled up in Yan Lu's eyes, and Zhuang Liwan quickly took out a handkerchief to wipe them away. Don't call yourself clumsy. You should go rest first. Zhuang Liwan picked up Yan Lu and said to Lu Chuan and the others, I'll take care of dinner. I'm quite skilled, and I'll definitely satisfy our immortal guests. He hurried to the hall, took out the red flower medicine, and used it to wipe Yan Lu's knees. As he wiped, he asked if it hurt, while Yan Lu looked at the man who was worried about her and smiled, saying it was nothing. In the eyes of the world, this couple was sweet and the epitome of lovers. But in reality, Yan Lu was thinking about another man in her heart. She now hated Meng Qing for making her look so ridiculous and for having to fake a smile to please Zhuang Liwan, which was exhausting. In Yan Lu's eyes, Zhuang Liwan, a man with little vitality left, was no different from a 70 or 80-year-old man. She came to the mayor's residence to poison Zhuang Liuan's father, the mayor of Azure Rock Town. Marrying Zhuang Liwan was just a whim, but she didn't expect Zhuang Liwan to take it seriously and fall in love with her. With the idea of, better safe than sorry, she had originally planned to spare the lives of these three people, but now she had changed her mind. Everyone had to die. Tonight, Yan Lu was going to inform her adoptive father, who was hiding in the mountains, that there was another prey from Immortal Gate coming to them. Meng Qing, aren't you uninterested in women? Aren't you ignoring me? I'll have my adoptive father chop off your limbs and turn them into human sticks for his own pleasure, becoming his toy. Su Lianlian and Luo Li returned to the hall after seeing that nothing major had happened in the kitchen and started talking to Yan Lu, waiting for dinner. Lu Chuan didn't want to stay with Yan Lu and took the initiative to offer help to Zhuang Liwan. With spiritual energy turning into fire, the stove didn't need firewood to be used, and the size of the fire was easy to control. Before long, Zhuang Liwan finished stir-frying 5 dishes and brought them to the dining table in the hall. It had to be said that Zhuang Liwan was indeed skilled, as the dishes were both delicious and visually appealing. The 3 people from Immortal Gate praised his cooking skills. Zhuang Liwan and Yan Lu also fed each other at the dining table, laughing and talking non-stop. After finishing the meal, Zhuang Liwan invited the guests to stay. Immortals from Immortal Gate, would you like to stay at the mansion for the night? We still have 5 or 6 empty guest rooms, which should be enough. The person who answered was Su Lianlian, who smiled politely and declined. Thank you for your kind offer, Mr. Zhuang, but we have already made reservations at an inn in town. Our belongings are already there, so we won't stay. It's getting late, there's no need to see us off. Thank you for your hospitality today. Luo Li was puzzled, wondering when they had made reservations at an inn. She had no idea. At this moment, in Luo Li's storage ring, a voice transmission talisman displayed a line of words, "Help. On the mountain." This voice transmission talisman was given to Luo Li by Wu Dian when they parted. After a moment, the voice transmission talisman turned into ashes and quietly stayed in a corner of the storage ring. If one voice transmission talisman was damaged, the other would disappear in the same way. Coming out of the mayor's residence, the sky had already turned completely dark. Night fell, and Azure Rock Town was not as brightly lit as Shangle City. Only the commercial street was still illuminated, while the other residential areas had dim lights. Lu Chuan and the other 2 found an inn on the commercial street and booked 3 rooms. After receiving their room keys, Su Lianlian said, "Come to my room. Let's summarize the information we obtained today. It's not convenient to discuss it in the mayor's residence. After all, the walls have ears." Lu Li knew why Su Lianlian had just mentioned booking rooms in the town. The room had only 1 bed and 1 table, with simple decoration. The wooden floor and white walls showcased a rustic style. Su Lianlian sat on the bed, and Lu Li pulled over a chair and sat down. "I'll just stand, Meng Qing. The report won't take long," Lu Chuan said, wanting to sit next to Su Lianlian. The discussion began. Based on the information they obtained in the backyard, Su Lianlian and Lu Li concluded that the missing disciples arrived in Azure Rock Town, went to the mayor's residence to learn about the theft of the spirit beast, and then blamed the disappearance of the spirit beast on the wild beasts in the mountains. After hunting down the wild beasts, they left Azure Rock Town the next day. The missing disciples were most likely involved in an accident while hunting the wild beasts in the mountains. Perhaps they encountered a powerful beast and fought to the death, perishing together with the beast. Or maybe there were hidden cliffs and precipices in the mountains, and they accidentally fell off the cliffs. At this point, Lu Li asked in confusion, "This doesn't make sense. When we checked the backyard today, there were no loopholes in the animal pen. It's impossible for the wild beasts from the mountains to enter and steal." Lu Li's words pointed out the strange aspect of the situation. The cause of the incident, the theft of the spirit beast from the animal pen, was not the work of the wild beasts in the mountains. So who could it be? Su Lianlian slowly spoke. "The culprit behind the theft of the spirit beast is a resident of Azure Rock Town." Lu Li was surprised. What's going on? The residents responsible for taking care of the spirit beast in the backyard were forced to do so. Every month, the mayor selects a dozen or so people from the town to serve in the backyard. They cannot leave the backyard for a month and must stay with the spirit beast at all times. This system has long been resented by the town's residents, and they have every motive to commit the crime. Lu Li remembered what the 2 young men in the backyard had said to him, which was similar to what Su Lianlian had just said. Why did they steal the spirit beast? Is it just for revenge? Su Lianlian replied, "We don't know the exact purpose yet, but it could be revenge. The spirit beast is of great use to cultivators. Martial artists can eat the meat of the spirit beast to cultivate, while cultivators can refine pills and practice using the spirit beast's spiritual core. Stealing the spirit beast and selling it in the market can fetch a good amount of spirit stones." Lu Chuan listened to their analysis and silently praised Su Lianlian in his heart. What she said was almost the truth, except she guessed wrong about the residents' motive for stealing the spirit beast. The disappearance of the spirit beast was indeed the work of Azure Rock Town's residents, but not to seek revenge on the mayor. Instead, they offered it to an evil cultivator hiding in the mountains. For the evil cultivator, a living spirit beast was a great supplement. To please him, the residents would steal the spirit beast from the mayor's backyard every few days and collude with the people in the backyard. This was not a difficult task. In any case, they are the ones who went missing in the mountains. Tomorrow, we will search for them on the mountain. However, there may be dangers on the mountain, so we need to be fully prepared tonight, Su Lianlian said. She turned to Meng Qing and asked, Meng Qing, do you have any other clues? Lu Chuan was suddenly asked and didn't know what to say for a moment. He knew too much, and if he was asked where he got the information from, it would be hard to explain. Seeing Lu Chuan's hesitation, Su Lianlian sighed lightly, forget it. You spent the whole afternoon with Yan Lu, your mind was focused on the beauty, so how could you have the time to ask for information? Lu Li spoke up, Senior Brother Meng, Senior Sister Su, if there's nothing else, I'll go back today. Alright, as soon as it's light tomorrow, we'll go up the mountain, Su Lianlian said. Lu Chuan could see the disdain in Lu Li's eyes and feel Su Lianlian's contempt for him. He really wanted to explain everything, but where should he start? Forget it, it's Meng Qing who is looked down upon by them, what does it have to do with Lu Chuan? When I look back at Immortal Gate, I will have a good discussion with Luo Li about swordsmanship and Taoism, and discuss with Su Lianlian about the solution to the Love Gu. Just wait for me. Meanwhile, at the mayor's mansion, Yan Lu and Zhuang Liwan were entangled together, and after a while, the two ended their battle. Zhuang Liwan looked apologetic as he caressed the beautiful hair of the woman beside him and apologized, I'm sorry, I'm not in the right state today. Yan Lu smiled faintly and hugged Zhuang Liwan, saying slowly, it's okay, my dear. You've already tried your best. Feeling the warmth of his beloved in his arms, Zhuang Liwan secretly felt fortunate to have such an understanding wife. They had been married for over a year, but Yan Lu had been unable to conceive, which became a regret for both of them. In order to have a child, she even went to see a doctor and took medicine every day, enduring hours of suffering in front of the stove. They would both drink the medicine before engaging in any intimate activities. Every time after drinking the medicine, Zhuang Liwan always felt that he had performed well, but in reality, the duration of their activities became shorter and shorter. Zhuang Liwan felt guilty deep down, believing that it was his own problem that his wife couldn't conceive. Holding Yan Lu tightly, Zhuang Liwan fell into a deep sleep. Once Zhuang Liwan was asleep, Yan Lu's expression suddenly changed, and she pushed Zhuang Liwan away with disgust. You're useless, you can't even do this, and I haven't eaten enough yet. Yan Lu changed into a long dress and went to the study, where she found a book containing sound transmission symbols. She wrote down the incident of 3 people coming to Immortal Gate on the symbol. Unusually, the sound transmission symbol remained silent. Normally, it would emit a golden light when the writing was complete. She took out another one, but it was the same. Forget it, I'll just go directly to my adoptive father. It was late at night, and no one would be on the mountain at this time. Yan Lu wasn't afraid of exposing her identity as a cultivator. She quickly went up the mountain and arrived at a secluded cave. The cave was spacious, with a large circular space inside. At the entrance of the cave, a middle-aged man was tying something with a rope. This person was Zuo Tianya, whom Yan Lu recognized as her adoptive father. Yan Lu knelt down and respectfully said, "Adoptive father." Zuo Tianya didn't even turn his head and continued with what he was doing, tying up people. The rope was a type of spirit weapon that required spiritual energy to activate. He had recently fought and had already depleted most of his spiritual energy, so tying up 3 people was quite exhausting. What's the matter? Do you want something again? Today, I won't let you have an extra meal. Instead, I need your help, Zuo Tianya said with an evil smile, commanding her, come here. Yan Lu approached her adoptive father, and Zuo Tianya let go of the rope, grabbing Yan Lu's hands and forcefully kissing her. Yan Lu didn't immediately react to what was happening, but she clearly felt her spiritual energy being rapidly drained from her body. No. Adoptive father, please don't. Yan Lu tried to resist using her own techniques, but it had no effect. After all, the technique she practiced, which absorbed men's essence, was taught by Zuo Tianya himself. After a while, Zuo Tianya felt that his spiritual energy had recovered enough, so he let go of Yan Lu and laughed heartily. Haha, you truly are my good daughter. I can't do without you. Yan Lu, on the other hand, felt that her cultivation from the past 2 months had disappeared, leaving her feeling weak all over. Suppressing the tears in the corners of her eyes, Yan Lu forced a smile and said, "It's my honor to be able to help you, adoptive father." Zuo Tianya picked up the rope and continued tying up the people, and Yan Lu also noticed the 3 people lying on the ground. "So, why did you come to me, Yan Lu?" The willow trees and smoke today informed Zuo Tianya, who is expected to come to the mayor's mansion to inspect the animal pens at Immortal Gate. Zuo Tianya tied up Wu Dian and the other 2, dragging them deep into the cave and sitting on top of Wu Dian. "You mean, there are 3 more cultivators from Immortal Gate in town?" "Yes, I think my adoptive father has not fully recovered yet and needs good supplements. I tried to send a sound transmission talisman to report, but it didn't work, so I came here to report in person." Sound transmission talisman. That thing is no longer useful. I have a spirit treasure that can render talismans ineffective. The entire mountain is within the range of this spirit treasure. A dark look appeared in Zuo Tianya's eyes. With the 3 people he just captured, he still had 3 chi refining stage cultivators and 1 foundation building early stage cultivator. If he could capture the 3 cultivators mentioned by Yan Lu, devour their dantian, he would be able to fully recover. If he had 2 foundation building stage cultivators, he might even be able to advance to the gold core stage. Truly a stroke of luck. Once he fully recovered, he would no longer need to rush. He would have plenty of time. He would wait for the residents of Azure Rock Town to cultivate for a while longer, allowing the spiritual energy in their bodies to become denser. Then he could absorb all their spiritual energy in one breath using the altar in the cave, solidifying his cultivation. Zuo Tianya revealed a sinister smile. "It seems I'm about to return to the peak. By the same fate as the person in the cave, you mean those 3 people you mentioned will also become my food. I will help capture the cultivators in town, but I have a request. There is a disciple from Immortal Gate named Meng Cheng. My adoptive father might give him to me." Yan Lu was just a tool in Zuo Tianya's eyes. What did it matter if he agreed to her request? He wouldn't give her anything in the end. A good daughter's request, of course I will fulfill it. "Thank you, adoptive father. How is that old man from the Zhuang family?" "Zhuang Daoguang, as my adoptive father instructed, I've been poisoning his food every day. Now he can't even get out of bed, and he'll be dead in half a month at most." Zuo Tianya nodded in satisfaction. Making Zhuang Daoguang accompany him in death was the final wish of the body he possessed. He didn't break his promise. Yan Lu continued, "When should we take action?" "Silly girl, do you really think these people from Immortal Gate came to help repair the animal pens? They are here to find the fellow disciples we captured before. We don't need to take the initiative. We'll just wait for them to fall into our trap." Zuo Tianya tapped Wu Dian under him. "Just like these 3. In the inn, Lu Chuan, who had finished the discussion meeting, lay on the bed. Suddenly, a golden light appeared in the dim room. Lu Chuan checked and saw that the instant transmission stone was glowing. The palm-sized jade stone, which had been blank, now had a line of elegant words, "Young master, have you arrived in Azure Rock Town?" It was written by Lu Qianzhou. Lu Chuan held the instant transmission stone in his hand and thought, "I've arrived. What's wrong with Sister Chu?" In Shengle City, Lu Qianzhou stared at the instant transmission stone, filled with excitement when she saw a response. She had sent a message just to give it a try, but she didn't expect Lu Chuan to reply. After reconciling with young master, if she didn't see him for half a day, her longing for him would become overwhelming. During the day, while working at the Chamber of Commerce, Lu Chuan's face would always appear in her mind. In the restless nights, she couldn't sleep, feeling anxious. The text on the instant transmission stone changed. "Lu Qianzhou, it's nothing. What are you doing now, young master?" "Lu Chuan, what can I do at this hour? I'm in bed, getting ready to sleep." "Lu Qianzhou, young master, guess what I'm doing?" After thinking for a while, Lu Chuan realized that Lu Qianzhou is now the boss of Qianzhou Trading Company. Even though it's nighttime, she might still be busy with work at the company. "Lu Chuan, you're working overtime. Go to bed early and don't tire yourself out. Seeing Lu Chuan's concern, Lu Qianqiu felt a warm feeling in her heart. Her lips couldn't help but curl up, and she didn't let go of the stone in her hand. Lu Qianqiu, young master, my Lu Chuan young master, your hands are big, your lips are soft, ha ha ha, young master. From Lu Chuan's perspective, the text on the stone quickly changed, flashing a series of incomprehensible words. Lu Qianqiu, I'm thinking of you. Can you talk to me? Images of Lu Qianqiu acting cute appeared in Lu Chuan's mind, and he felt like the wounds inflicted by the bad woman during the day were healed. Lu Chuan, sure, what do you want to talk about? Lu Qianqiu, let's talk about what we should do when we meet next time. Want to go to a convention, want to go flower viewing, want Lu Chuan to take her on a sword flight, want to go to a hot spring together and give each other back rubs. Both of them lay in bed, hundreds of miles apart, but they could understand each other's thoughts as if they were sleeping next to each other. Lu Qianqiu spent over 10,000 spirit stones on the stone, and she felt that the money was well worth it. As she thought about it, Lu Qianqiu smelled the fragrance of Lu Chuan on the bed and fell asleep. Seeing no response from the stone, Lu Chuan guessed that Lu Qianqiu had fallen asleep and smiled faintly. Using this thing to chat reminded Lu Chuan of the days when he stayed up late chatting with others on Blue Star. The world of cultivation is truly wonderful. The two elders of Wangxiang Immortal Gate also couldn't sleep at night. These past few days, Lin Qingshe couldn't concentrate on her cultivation and felt like something was missing by her side. Having lived alone for nearly 100 years, she thought she had gotten used to loneliness. But when Lu Chuan left the sect to complete a mission and closed himself off to write Chengqingju, she felt a sense of loss after only 2 days. She had already gotten used to having Lu Chuan by her side. As long as Lu Chuan was on the mountain, he would often come to find her for a spar. Even if he didn't talk to her, just seeing him from a distance made her feel happy. She wanted to go find Lu Chuan, that's what she deeply desired. But she couldn't disturb him while he was in seclusion. He was in seclusion to write Chengqingju as a gift to Wangxiang Immortal Gate. It wasn't something a senior elder of Wangxiang Immortal Gate should do to disturb him. On another mountain, Elder Wang Song was also troubled by this matter. He wanted to go see how far Lu Chuan had ridden Chengqingju and supervise him, but he didn't dare to go. Yesterday, when he wanted to go to the Peak Master's Peak to urge Lu Chuan, he unexpectedly ran into Lin Qingshe on the way. When he explained what he wanted to do to Lin Qingshe, she immediately drew her sword and wanted to spar with him. Wang Song was not a sword cultivator. How could he possibly win against Lin Qingshe, who was known as the Sword Immortal? Not only was he humiliated, but he was also given a request. Elder Wang, if I win the spar, I hope you agree to a request. Lu Chuan is currently in seclusion writing Chengqingju, and it's a critical moment. I hope you won't disturb him. Lin Qingshe still had her sword in hand, and Wang Song didn't dare to say no. I understand, junior sister, please put away your sword. I won't go urge Lu Chuan anymore. Let's talk things out, let's talk things out. Recalling the painful memory from yesterday, Wang Song felt suffocated. Lying in bed, Wang Song shouted, Lu Chuan, how much longer are you going to stay in seclusion? Then, a voice came from the next room, don't make noise in the middle of the night. Wang Yuan, Wang Song's beloved daughter, Wang Song thought he had disturbed her rest and whispered, Yan Yan, I'm sorry. At this moment, Wang Song felt like his position in Wangxiang Immortal Gate was too low. He was bullied by his junior sister outside and by his daughter at home. But he was the senior elder, shouldn't he be someone who stands above all others? No, tomorrow he would go find Nangongshi to vent his frustrations. In the early morning, Lu Chuan and his two companions walked on the stone-paved mountain path. The morning glow dyed the mountaintop red, and although the stone mountain was not tall, clouds and mist still surrounded the higher areas. Through the thin mist, they could see various fruit trees planted along the road, adorned with colorful flowers. Soon, the flowers would fall, and the branches would bear the fruits symbolizing a bountiful harvest. In the orchard, many residents of the town were already spraying insecticides early in the morning. The three of them were prepared to climb to the mountaintop and search from above. Whether the missing disciples were eaten by ferocious beasts or fell off the cliffs, They needed to at least find their bodies through a carpet-style search. Of course, it would be even better if they were still alive. Several residents greeted the three of them with smiles. They were very simple-minded and didn't ask where Lu Chuan and his companions came from or who they were. They would just respond with smiles. Lu Chuan liked this harmonious atmosphere. The residents lived and worked in peace, and the town mayor's family was kind and approachable. It was just like her childhood in Sha Kingdom. Before long, the three of them reached the mountaintop. This is. Su Lianlian couldn't find words to describe what she saw. The top of the stone mountain was open and gentle, like a deliberately designed platform. In the center of the flat ground, there was a huge circular altar, with an anomalous shape and emitting an ominous aura. The platform was still marked with red traces. Something was lying on the ground in the middle of the altar. Upon closer inspection, it was a young man. He was covered in injuries and his body was bound with ropes. Lu Chuan searched him and found the token of the Wang Immortal Gate on him. He was one of the missing disciples of the Wang Immortal Gate. Su Lianlian and Luo Li tried to wake up the young man, but no matter what they did, he wouldn't wake up. They couldn't even untie the ropes binding him. He has been drugged, Su Lianlian muttered. Lu Chuan sensed that something was wrong and released his spiritual awareness to investigate the surroundings. To their dismay, they were surrounded. There were more than a dozen residents around the altar, aiming their bows and arrows at Lu Chuan and his companions. Did they want to use the town's residents to deal with them? Lu Chuan had thought that Zuo Tianya would personally take action against Luo Li, ignoring the residents in the orchard along the way. How could he forget that these residents in the town were all evil cultivators? Everyone, get down! Lu Chuan shouted at the moment the arrows were about to be released. Luo Li and Su Lianlian didn't know what was happening, but they could sense the determination in Lu Chuan's words and quickly got down. The three of them lay on the ground, and the arrows missed their targets. Seeing what had just happened, Su Lianlian and Luo Li knew that something was seriously wrong. Lu Chuan carried the unconscious disciple of the Wang Immortal Gate on his back and said, "Let's go first." The three of them quickly ran into the woods, easily dealing with several residents who tried to block their way. To her surprise, these residents actually had the ability to resist and managed to injure her. These residents were also cultivators. Seeing Lu Chuan and the others running away, the residents lit torches in their hands. Thick smoke rose from the stone mountain, and the residents waiting in the woods saw the direction of the smoke and became restless. Under the orders of the Heavenly Master, they were to capture Lu Chuan and the other evil cultivators and would be handsomely rewarded. In the cave, where Zuo Tianya was absorbing Wu Dian's spiritual energy, he heard the commotion on the mountain and a wicked smile appeared on his face. He knew that the residents in the town were all cultivators now, but the strongest among them was only at the Qi refining stage, not a match for the disciples of the Wang Immortal Gate. But there were so many residents, and they had various weapons coated with poison. It would be enough to wear down Lu Chuan and the others' stamina. Just wait a little longer until his spiritual energy fully recovered, and then he would make his move. Dealing with 3 cultivators with depleted spiritual energy would be a piece of cake for Zuo Tianya. The day I return to the peak is not far away. In the mayor's residence, Zhuang Liwan saw the smoke rising from the mountain and felt that something was amiss. Xiao Lu, what's happening on the mountain? Smoke Lu stood in front of Zhuang Liwan, blocking her son's line of sight. Yan Lu was wearing a tight white shirt and only shorts underneath, which was a dress that Zhuang Liwan particularly liked. She hugged Zhuang Liwan, her hands wandering on his body. Darling, how could you forget? Today is the hunting festival. The residents of the town are hunting fierce beasts in the mountains. Zhuang Liwan was teased and had no mind to think about whether the hunting festival was today or not. Yan Lu blew into Zhuang Liuan's ear. Let's go inside, darling. A few minutes later, Zhuang Liwan collapsed on the bed, already unconscious. Yan Lu absorbed a bit more spiritual energy than usual, feeling some of her lost strength returning, but not much. Yan Lu arrived at the cave and saw Zuo Tianya cultivating, sitting obediently beside him, waiting. Just now, she was just satisfying her cravings. As long as she captured the 3 from the Immortal Gate, she would be able to enjoy a rare delicacy and savor the taste of Meng Qing. Thinking that Meng Qing, who had looked down on her yesterday, would be kneeling on the ground tonight, begging for mercy, Yan Lu felt a sense of relief. For now, they could take a breather from the residents. Lu Li asked in doubt, "What's going on? Are these residents cultivators?" "Not only cultivators, but also evil cultivators. I'm afraid the disappearance of the disciples before and the residents of Azure Rock Town are related," Su Lianlian speculated, feeling the surging spiritual energy in the bodies of the residents during her confrontation with them. Just thinking that there were high-level evil cultivators behind the residents, Su Lianlian felt a headache. How did they encounter so many troubles on this mission? She said, "Let's report what happened here to the sect. Do you have sound transmission symbols?" Lu Chuan shook his head. The sect leader was in seclusion, and his acquaintances in the Immortal Gate were only Lin Qingxie and Wang Song. He couldn't contact them in his own name. "Sister Su, I have one," Lu Li said. While speaking, Lu Li took out a sound transmission symbol from her storage ring. The sound transmission symbol in her hand was a gift from Sima Dong before he left. As long as she wrote on the symbol, Lin Qingxie would receive the message. Lu Li wrote on the symbol, "Master, I encountered trouble in Azure Rock Town. The missing disciples are related to evil cultivators. Requesting support." After writing the words, the sound transmission symbol had no response. Lu Li tried a few more times, but it was useless. She also found ashes left from burned paper in her storage ring. Is this the sound transmission symbol Wu Dian gave himself? The current situation was that all the sound transmission symbols had become ineffective. Wu Dian was afraid that he had encountered an accident. Su Lianlian frowned. This was the worst situation. If they couldn't contact the outside world, they would be trapped on Qingxi Mountain. These residents were probably sent as cannon fodder to consume their physical strength. When their physical strength was depleted, the mastermind behind them would show up. Lu Li couldn't understand why the residents of Azure Rock Town, who had been living a peaceful life, would choose to become evil cultivators. She muttered softly, "Could someone be forcing them?" Hearing this, Su Lianlian shook her head and said, "Didn't you hear what the residents in the backyard of the mayor's mansion said yesterday? The residents of Azure Rock Town have long been dissatisfied with the mayor's tyranny. They have another leader in their hearts." Lu Li recalled the unpleasant memories. How could things turn out like this? Are you saying they voluntarily became evil cultivators? Not only voluntarily, but they even regard that evil cultivator as a true immortal, Su Lianlian replied. The cultivation level of the evil cultivator must be high. Wu Dian and the others can't handle it. If we can't contact the Immortal Gate, I'm afraid our situation will be dire. Lu Chuan, who had been listening silently, spoke up, "Maybe I can contact the Immortal Gate." He had a pair of instant transmission stones paired with Lu Qianzhou, worth a try. Upon hearing Lu Chuan's words, Su Lianlian immediately thought that Meng Qing was playing a joke. But when she saw the peculiarly shaped stone in his hand, she was greatly shocked. Is this an instant transmission stone? Su Lianlian recognized it. A 2 to 3000 spirit stone instant transmission stone. Lu Li's focus was a bit peculiar. She asked, "Who is it paired with?" "Lu Qianzhou," Lu Chuan answered truthfully. A trace of disappointment flashed across Lu Li's face, but she quickly returned to normal and smiled. "Please, Brother Meng, give it a try." In Shengle City, Lu Qianzhou, who was handling business in the Chamber of Commerce, noticed some movement from the instant transmission stone. Her heart leapt with joy, thinking that Lu Chuan wanted to chat with her again. After reading the message, she suddenly stood up from her seat. She commanded her secretary, "Prepare the carriage and leave immediately for the Immortal Gate." Azure Rock Town is located in the middle of the Wu Kingdom and is named after the many blue stones on the mountain. Blue stones are a byproduct of spirit stones, the circulating currency in the cultivation world. Thousands of years ago, the Blue Stone Mountain was a spirit stone mine, and the land on the mountain was constantly exposed to the rich spiritual energy of the spirit stones. Decades ago, the ancestors of the Zhuang family accidentally discovered that this place was suitable for raising spirit beasts. They spent all their savings to purchase spirit beast seedlings from the cultivation sects and raise them in the mountains, resulting in great profits. With the money earned from farming, they built roads and wells in the mountains, benefiting the residents of Azure Rock Town. The residents revered the Zhuang family as the town mayor, and the Zhuang family was greatly loved. During this period, the Wu Kingdom experienced wars, and the king sought support from the Immortal Gate to quell the turmoil. The price was to annually submit a certain amount of spirit stones and spirit beasts. After learning that Azure Rock Town was famous for producing spirit beasts, the king demanded that Azure Rock Town provide a certain number of spirit beasts every year without compensation. However, as time passed, the spiritual energy in the mountains became increasingly scarce, and the growth rate of spirit beasts slowed down. By the time Zhuang Daoguang became the head of the family, raising spirit beasts was no longer profitable for the Zhuang family. Instead, they incurred significant losses in spirit stones every year. He believed that raising spirit beasts should not be the sole responsibility of his family and demanded that the residents of Azure Rock Town share some of the responsibility. Every month, he would select a dozen or so people to take care of the spirit beasts in the backyard. Although they had to stay with the spirit beasts all day and could only go home at night, the residents could still tolerate it because they received spirit stones as wages. Spirit beasts are extremely picky about their environment, and it is even more difficult to raise carnivorous spirit beasts. Therefore, submitting one carnivorous spirit beast could be equivalent to 3 herbivorous spirit beasts. In order to improve the efficiency of raising spirit beasts, Zhuang Daoguang started raising carnivorous spirit beasts in Azure Rock Town for the first time, turning losses into profits and making a small fortune. With the spirit stones, Zhuang Daoguang began to dream of immortality. He sought guidance from cultivators and started cultivating, becoming a half-cultivator. With power, he had confidence in his actions. Zhuang Daoguang no longer gave spirit stones to the residents who took care of the spirit beasts. The residents became unpaid laborers, contributing their efforts while Zhuang Daoguang reaped the profits. Out of gratitude for the kindness of the Zhuang family's ancestors, the villagers endured it for the time being, considering it as a favor in exchange for the kindness of the new head of the family. Until the unexpected happened. Over a year ago, a girl selected to raise spirit beasts accidentally fell into the beast pen while feeding the carnivorous spirit beasts. In an instant, the spirit beasts pounced on the girl, tearing at her arm as she held the meat. The girl was no match for the spirit beasts, and her hand was bitten to a bloody mess. She pounded on the gate of the pen, seeking help from outside. Her cries for help attracted Zhuang Daoguang. It would have been enough to kill a few spirit beasts to save the girl, at most sacrificing one arm. But Zhuang Daoguang, driven by greed, pretended not to see. The girl cried out for help, but could only die in endless despair. She was bitten to death. Zhuang Daoguang warned everyone present, "If any of you dare to speak of this, you will meet the same fate as her." The residents knew that Zhuang Daoguang was a cultivator, and although they were filled with countless grievances, they dared not speak out. Zhuang Daoguang spread the word that the girl died because of her own carelessness and was immediately bitten to death by having her throat severed. The girl's parents, although extremely painful upon learning the truth, had nowhere to seek justice and could only treat it as an accident. Fast forward to 6 months ago, the girl's father and a neighbor went out for a drink. The neighbor was one of the people selected to take care of the spirit beasts along with the girl. The neighbor, drunk and incoherent, muttered to himself in a low voice, "Lao Chu, just treat it as me talking nonsense. Actually, your daughter was killed by that beast Zhuang Daoguang." The neighbor lifted his bowl and drank heavily, as if to bolster his courage. Xiao Chu didn't die immediately after falling into the pen. It was Zhuang Daoguang's pity for the spirit beasts that he didn't want to kill a few to save Xiao Chu. Lao Chu, upon learning of this, immediately went to Zhuang Daoguang's house to confront him. "Zhuang Daoguang, you beast! You killed my daughter." "I killed her." "Lao Chu, don't joke around. It was clearly her own carelessness that led to her death. Tell me, how many spirit stones do you want as compensation?" Upon hearing this, Lao Chu's anger flared up, his face turning red. He shouted, "In your eyes, is human life only worth spirit stones?" Zhuang Daoguang sneered disdainfully and laughed, "That's right. In my eyes, your daughter is not even worth a valuable spirit beast. So what?" At this moment, Lao Chu only wanted revenge for his daughter and wanted to teach Zhuang Daoguang a lesson. He forgot that Zhuang Daoguang was not an ordinary person, but a cultivator. In reality, Zhuang Daoguang easily defeated Lao Chu in just a few moves. He stepped on Lao Chu's head, laughing arrogantly, and took out a spirit stone from his body, throwing it at Lao Chu. "Is this enough for your medical expenses and your daughter's funeral expenses?" Lao Chu widened his eyes, staring at Zhuang Daoguang, trembling with anger. Are you not satisfied with this? Zhuang Daoguang sneered. Unexpectedly, Lao Chu, in a fit of anger, bit Zhuang Daoguang's thigh. This action infuriated Zhuang Daoguang, who was no longer holding back. He used his spiritual energy to ruthlessly beat Lao Chu. After venting his anger, Zhuang Daoguang ordered his guards to throw Lao Chu carelessly into the farmland at the foot of the mountain. At this moment, Zhuo Tianya was also hiding in the farmland. He had recently fought against the righteous path and was outnumbered. His meridians were severed, and if it weren't for his adopted daughter Yan Lu coming out from the shadows to save him, he might have lost his life. Yan Lu brought him to a town where people gathered. Zhuo Tianya was planning to find some ordinary people in Azure Rock Town to absorb their vitality and recover from his injuries when he saw a middle-aged man being thrown into the farmland. Lao Chu was beaten unconscious, covered in blood, but his bones and meridians were intact. Zhuo Tianya didn't want to let go of this powerless ordinary person. He wanted to take over his body. After all, with his meridians severed, he couldn't even directly absorb spiritual energy. He summoned black spiritual energy from his dantian and wanted to envelop the unconscious man with evil energy, entering his dantian to take over his body. Lao Chu woke up in pain and saw a grim-looking old man standing beside him. He was surrounded by black mist, which continuously entered his body. You are an evil cultivator, is this body possession? Lao Chu asked. Zhuo Tianya nodded generously, admitting that he was about to take over this body. He wanted to see how the man would react, probably begging for mercy out of fear. This was his twisted sense of amusement. You're right. To Zhuo Tianya's surprise, Lao Chu's mouth curled into a smile. I willingly offer my body. I beg the immortal to help me fulfill my final wish. Zhuo Tianya felt a slight interest in this strange person and, for the first time, said, Tell me, what is your final wish? Gritting his teeth, Lao Chu used all his strength to shout, Azure Rock Town has long been oppressed by Zhuang Daoguang. I beg you to kill Zhuang Daoguang and bury me with him. Before he could finish his words, Lao Chu took his last breath. Ha ha ha, your final wish is to be buried with someone. Interesting, I appreciate it. I, Zhuo Tianya, will grant your wish, Zhuo Tianya said with a laugh. Zhuo Tianya easily took over Lao Chu's body and hid in a secluded cave on the mountain to cultivate and recover. Lao Chu suddenly disappeared from Azure Rock Town, leaving behind blood-stained clothes at the foot of the mountain. Lao Chu's wife, who had experienced the pain of losing her daughter and husband in a short period of time, was on the verge of a mental breakdown and left the sorrowful town of Azure Rock. During Zhuo Tianya's recovery, he sent Yan Lu to the mayor's mansion to poison Zhuang Daoguang. Yan Lu would occasionally report the situation in Azure Rock Town and the mayor's mansion to Zhuo Tianya. Zhuo Tianya had even more sinister ideas. If they were oppressed by cultivators, then everyone should cultivate as well. His own path did not require spirit root talent and was suitable for ordinary people. Of course, there would be some price to pay. Rumors began to spread in the town that Lao Chu had reappeared, but this time he was possessed by an immortal. The residents received cultivation techniques from Lao Chu, and although they were skeptical at first, after trying cultivation, those who were sick were completely cured, and those who were healthy became strong. They could even pass on spiritual energy to the elderly and children, which was very convenient. Lao Chu began to be called the Heavenly Master, the perfected being. The residents of Azure Rock Town unknowingly turned into evil cultivators. Let's take a break for a while, Lu Chuan suggested when he saw the other two panting heavily. Lu Li and Su Lianlian stopped to catch their breath. They had been chased on Qingxi Mountain for half a day, and now the sun had already set halfway, darkening the sky. All the paths down the mountain had been blocked by the residents of Azure Rock Town. The residents knew that they couldn't win, so they relied on their numerical advantage and long-range attack advantage to exhaust their opponent's stamina. No matter which path they took, they would immediately be discovered by the residents, and dozens or even hundreds of archers with arrows coated in a sedative would aim at them. Lu Chuan was also limited in his actions as he was carrying a fellow disciple who was unconscious. The poison that could stun cultivators was not something an ordinary person could obtain, so there must be an evil cultivator providing it. The only fortunate thing was that Lu Qianqiu was on his way to the Wishing Immortal Gate, so they just needed to hide on the mountain and wait for rescue. When they heard footsteps approaching, Lu Chuan carried the unconscious disciple on his back, and the three of them started hiding in the forest again. Lu Li and Su Lianlian thought that as long as they hid for a few more hours, they would be able to wait for support from the Wishing Immortal Gate. Lu Chuan made thorough preparations, buying various elixirs and several spirit swords from the points store in advance. In a while, the instigator, Zhuo Tianya, would make his appearance. At the foot of Qingxi Mountain, the middle-aged woman who had met Lu Chuan and his group in the forest looked up at the mountaintop. "Quihin, are you sure you want to go up the mountain?" The village chief of the forest village tried to stop Quihin. Quihin had seen smoke rising from Qingxi Mountain all morning and thought that something must have happened in Azure Rock Town, especially since the immortal from the Wishing Immortal Gate had just asked about the way yesterday. She decided to go back and see what was going on in Azure Rock Town. During the past 6 months, Quihin had gotten along well with the people in the forest and had established a relationship similar to family with the villagers. If Quihin were to have any problems due to stimulation, the villagers would definitely be heartbroken. The village chief followed Quihin all the way, trying to persuade her to go back. On the way, Quihin said to the village chief, "I just want to go back to my hometown and take a look. I'll be back in the forest tomorrow. Does the village chief want to stop me from going back to my hometown?" The village chief couldn't rest assured, so he escorted Quihin out of the forest and to the foot of Qingxi Mountain. Quihin gazed at the mountaintop. She had a feeling since morning that she needed to go back to Azure Rock Town. Now that she had reached the foot of the mountain, the premonition grew even stronger. "Have you come back, old man?" she said to the village chief. "Village chief, please go back. I'm going up the mountain." Quihin stepped onto the stone path made of green stones and headed towards Azure Rock Town. She found that the townspeople were acting strangely, with thousands of residents holding torches and bows and arrows surrounding the only way down the mountain. Some residents recognized Quihin and said, "Isn't this Quihin? Where have you been for the past 6 months? There were rumors that you were eaten by wild beasts in the forest. I was so worried." Seeing familiar faces, Quihin forced a smile and said, "I'm fine, I just moved out." "What are you all doing here?" "We're hunting down evil cultivators. Yesterday, 3 evil cultivators came to town, trying to harm the Celestial Master." "The Celestial Master? Where did Azure Rock Town get a Celestial Master?" Quihin was puzzled. The residents suddenly remembered that Quihin had disappeared from Azure Rock Town just when Old Chu went missing. A few days after Quihin left, the Celestial Master appeared on Old Chu. Not knowing how to explain, the residents stuttered. "I'm going up the mountain to take a look." Quihin decided to go up the mountain. The further she went up, the stronger the familiar feeling became. The residents didn't know what to do and could only let the people around block Quihin's way. "Quihin, it's been a long time since we last met. Let's chat." In the cave, Zhuo Tianya fully recovered by absorbing Wu Dian's spiritual energy. Zhuo Tianya came out of the cave, took a deep breath, and for him, low-level cultivators were excellent delicacies. There were 3 strong scents on the mountain. 2 Qi refining late stage and 1 foundation building early stage. Foundation building late stage is stable. Although he was not in his prime state, dealing with these 3 was more than enough. Zhuo Tianya determined the location of the 3 from the Wishing Immortal Gate and transmitted his voice to Yan Lu, asking her to follow him and head straight to the hiding place of the 3 from the Wishing Immortal Gate. "Ha ha ha, tonight I will return to the peak." During left Tianya's sprint, he bumped into many fruit trees, causing a cloud of dust to rise from the greenstone mountain. The loud noise made the residents who were stuck on the downhill road feel invigorated. This is the power of the Celestial Master. Eliminate the evil cultivator and bring peace to Azure Rock Town. Evil cultivators who harm others deserve to die. The residents cheered, using the term, Celestial Master, to refer to left Tianya. They told their companions about the legend of the Celestial Master. The scene became quite chaotic for a while. Taking advantage of the situation, Quihin slipped into the crowd and quickly ran towards the source of the sound. The residents responsible for tracking on the mountain also rushed over when they heard the noise. They had the opportunity to witness the power of the Celestial Master with their own eyes. Lu Li felt a powerful aura approaching rapidly and shouted, "Quick, let's go. Something is coming." The 3 of them ran frantically through the mountain forest. However, left Tianya was faster. His cultivation was higher, and he was more familiar with the mountain path of the Greenstone Mountain. Lu Chuan prepared himself, ready to drop the unconscious fellow disciple on his back and draw his spirit sword for battle. As a mid-stage foundation-building evil cultivator, Lu Chuan wanted to see if he could handle someone with Meng Qing's cultivation level. "I've found you, my little darlings." Left Tianya sprinted behind the members of the One Immortal Gate. An evil aura surrounded him, and behind him were fallen fruit trees, flowers, and leaves flying in the air along with the dust. In the densely clouded night sky, only the blood-red moon remained unobscured. It looked like a giant eye, witnessing the fate of the members of the One Immortal Gate. The overwhelming pressure of a higher cultivation level on a lower one caused Su Lianlian and Lu Li to break out in a cold sweat. A mid-stage foundation-building evil cultivator. Su Lianlian swallowed her saliva and said softly. Lu Li silently drew his spirit sword, preparing to face the enemy. Seeing that the members of the One Immortal Gate still had calm expressions and no one was crying or panicking, Left Tianya was surprised. "What's wrong with you guys? Your reaction is so boring." Left Tianya showed a disappointed expression. Yan Lu appeared next to Left Tianya. Left Tianya pointed at Lu Li with his finger and said, "Especially you. Instead of begging for mercy and crying for your life at the Qi refining stage, you drew your sword as soon as you saw me. Do you think you have a chance of winning?" Left Tianya walked back and forth, sizing up the conscious Lu Chuan and the others. "The 3 people who came to the mountain yesterday were much more interesting than you guys. I played a little game with them. I decided to spare one of them and let them vote on who should survive. Guess what? Each of them voted for themselves. There was even a guy named Wu Dian who tried to blackmail others into voting for him. The votes were tied, and none of them escaped. The twisted expressions on their faces were really worth savoring." Left Tianya laughed and said, "Let's play this game too. What do you think, kid?" Left Tianya was speaking to Lu Li, and the next moment, Lu Li charged towards Left Tianya with his sword. Clang! The sound of metal colliding. Left Tianya reached out his hand and caught Lu Li's attack. He gripped the sword tightly and with a strong squeeze, Lu Li's third-grade spirit sword shattered, turning into a pile of iron blocks that fell to the ground. Hey, isn't the One Immortal Gate on the righteous path? Why are you still resorting to sneak attacks?" Unexpectedly, a middle-aged woman's voice sounded. "Lao Chu, you're still alive." Kui Han shouted with joy and rushed towards Left Tianya. Left Tianya couldn't possibly recognize Kui Han and casually attacked the woman who approached him inexplicably with his evil aura. Things took a turn for the worse. Lu Chuan put down the fellow disciple behind him and quickly rushed towards Kui Han. Just as the evil aura was about to touch her, he pulled her aside. With no target, the evil aura crashed into the ground, creating a large pit. A large number of green stone fragments, along with dust and sand, filled the air, blocking everyone's view. Su Lianlian seized the opportunity and prepared to escape. Little did she expect that the residents of Azure Rock Town, who had heard the commotion, had already armed themselves with arrows dipped in anesthetic, and they aimed their bows at Luoli when they saw him attacking the Celestial Master. Seeing Su Lianlian preparing to flee, more than a dozen arrows were shot towards her. In order to avoid the arrows, Su Lianlian had no choice but to give up on escaping. As the smoke cleared, several residents recognized Quihan. They aimed their arrows at Lu Chuan and said, "Let her go, or we won't be polite." Faced with these ignorant residents, Lu Chuan didn't want to say much. He released Quihan and let the residents take her away. Quihan was startled by the loud noise just now and couldn't react for a moment. How could the old man who had lived with her for decades possess such great power? Why would he attack her? Could it be that he had forgotten who she was? The residents pulled Quihan aside and said, "Quihan, don't obstruct the Celestial Master in his mission to eliminate evil." Quihan muttered, "Celestial Master." The evil they referred to were the few people who were asking for directions in the forest. And the Celestial Master was. Remembering the hesitant response of the familiar person in Azure Rock Town when asked about the Celestial Master, Quihan had an answer in her heart. With a probing tone, Quihan asked, "Is Lao Chu the Celestial Master you mentioned?" The residents shook their heads and spoke one after another. "Lao Chu is already dead. The Celestial Master is the immortal who descended upon Lao Chu after his death. He is an immortal who came specifically to save Azure Rock Town." Some people prayed to the Celestial Master for a long time and their incurable diseases were cured the next day. Some secretly reported the mayor's actions to the Celestial Master, and even the mayor received divine punishment. Hey, the Celestial Master doesn't harm people. The mayor deserved it. Qihan listened, feeling confused. She turned to look at the middle-aged man not far away, a very familiar face. She muttered in her heart, "No, he is not the Celestial Master, he is my old man. I have already lost my daughter, I can't lose my husband too." Zuo Tianya also understood. The Qihan who had just pounced on him was the wife of this body. He looked at Su Lianlian, who was preparing to escape, and sneered, "Look, this is a righteous and prestigious family. One attacks when others are speaking, and the other runs away when others are speaking. Alright, since you don't want to play the game, let's end it quickly. It will be dawn soon." Luoli heard what the resident said and furrowed his brows. He took out the 4th grade spirit sword gifted by Nangongshi from his storage ring. Holding the sword towards Zuo Tianya, Luoli said, "You deceived the residents of Azure Rock Town." Luoli's voice lost its usual warmth. Zuo Tianya saw Luoli's anger and his perverse interest was aroused again. The ingredients were already prepared, just lacking the seasoning. And resentment, anger, regret, these negative emotions were the best seasoning. "Deceived. I haven't done such a thing. Haven't you heard what those residents said? I am their savior. In their eyes, you outsiders are the culprits disturbing the peace of Azure Rock Town." "Nonsense," Luoli rebuked angrily. "The residents of Azure Rock Town lack a correct understanding of cultivators, just like the people around here. They all have varying degrees of spiritual energy in their bodies, but there are middle-aged and even elderly people who have absorbed secular impurities for too long and do not possess the ability to cultivate." Zuo Tianya made all the residents of Azure Rock Town cultivate, and the residents believed that it was for strengthening their bodies, curing diseases, and prolonging their lives. In reality, they were depleting the limited essence and energy in their bodies. They were deceived by an evil cultivator. This reminded Luoli of her 2 elder brothers. 6 years ago, Luoli's 2 elder brothers had just come of age. According to the rules of the royal family, they had to compete for the right to inherit the throne. As full brothers, they were originally close and had been mutually accommodating in the matter of succession, each wanting the other to become the next emperor. However, the evil cultivator took advantage of the situation and secretly manipulated both of them, planting seeds of doubt about each other in their ears. Over time, their patience was exhausted. The evil cultivator even arranged for someone to assassinate one of the princes and used dark cultivation techniques to make the assassin falsely accuse the other prince. From then on, the 2 brothers broke ties and expanded their own influence in the court. "Do you know, Crown Prince, the current emperor is siding with the second prince. They want to unite and get rid of you," the evil cultivator tempted the Crown Prince. The next day, the Crown Prince staged a coup. With one fell swoop, he became the emperor, while the previous emperor was placed under house arrest and the second prince was rescued by his trusted aide. The evil cultivator was appointed as the national teacher. After a period of recuperation, the second prince led a rebellion. Sha Kingdom became a chaotic place, and with the evil cultivator's authority as the national teacher, a large number of evil cultivators entered Sha Kingdom, causing havoc. Unable to bear it any longer, Luoli spoke out and urged her elder brother to stop. As a result, she earned the hatred of the evil cultivator, who sent someone to assassinate her. On the run, when Luoli was pushed to a dead end, Lin Qingshe happened to pass by and saved her. Lin Qingshe, a proud and noble female sword immortal, reminded Luoli of her love for swords. She realized that she could join a cultivation sect, cultivate to great accomplishment, and return to Sha Kingdom to change the current situation. So, Luoli disguised herself as a man and joined the Hope Immortal Gate. Starting from the outer sect, she worked hard and ascended to the inner sect in half a year. 5 years later, during the inner sect competition, she encountered Lin Qingshe and senior brother Lu Chuan. Being powerless and on the run in the mortal world was a nightmare that Luoli often had, a secret fear that no one knew about. In the past, she had no strength to resist, but now it was different. She had a spiritual sword in her hand and the sword techniques taught by Lin Qingshe and Lu Chuan in her heart. This time, she would not run away anymore. She would face her inner demons head-on, Even if there was a gap in cultivation level, she would fight until the very end. Luo Li held the spiritual sword and swung it towards Zhuo Tianya's chest. Zhuo Tianya didn't even try to dodge. He was confident in the strength of his physical body. He wanted Luo Li to realize the insurmountable gap between them, that all her actions were in vain, and to make her feel despair. Ding! As the sound of metal clashing rang out, Zhuo Tianya spat out a mouthful of blood. Zhuo Tianya wiped the corner of his mouth with his hand. Looking at the blood in his palm, he felt puzzled. What had happened to him? A qi refining stage brat actually managed to injure him, who was at the foundation building stage of body refining. This was ridiculous, only to see that the blade of Luo Li's sword was covered in flames. Zhuo Tianya's physical body was strong, but she focused all her strength on one point, causing a wound, and then sent the flames on the blade into the wound. The Sima family's fiery flame sword. Su Lianlian exclaimed in surprise. This was one of the Sima family's secret techniques. During the intersect competition, Sima Dong had used this move against Lu Chuan. Lu Chuan nodded. Luo Li was able to learn it just by watching once, showing her high comprehension of swordsmanship. Although not as high as my flawless sword body. While Zhuo Tianya was stunned in place, Luo Li quickly distanced himself and began to regulate his breathing, calming the spiritual energy in his dantian. Although the flame sword was highly offensive, it also consumed a tremendous amount of spiritual energy. Luo Li had been evading the pursuit of the residents on the mountain since morning, and now there was not much spiritual energy left in his body. At most, he could use this powerful move 2 more times. Zhuo Tianya stared at Luo Li, who was panting heavily. Having been in the cultivation world for many years, Zhuo Tianya had dealt with many sword cultivators. He instantly understood that this move was also a burden for the user and couldn't be used multiple times. Kid, what's wrong with you? Come at me again. Zhuo Tianya spat out blood-stained saliva and said with a smile, or is it that you have no way to break through my defense, so you have to resort to this self-damaging sword technique? Enough nonsense. Luo Li regulated his spiritual energy and thrust his sword towards Zhuo Tianya's chest. After exchanging a few moves with Zhuo Tianya, Luo Li realized that he was proficient in the art of body refining. The previous flame sword had already injured Zhuo Tianya's chest. As long as he focused his attacks on the wound, there was a possibility of defeating Zhuo Tianya. Zhuo Tianya used his hand to defend, but even though his arm and spiritual sword collided, it made a sound like metal clashing. Seeing that his spiritual sword was blocked, Luo Li moved back and prepared for the next attack. Zhuo Tianya decided to torment Luo Li a bit as a reward for being able to injure him. As long as he didn't use the flame sword, this kid posed no threat to him. Zhuo Tianya easily evaded Luo Li's attacks. His intentions were too obvious. No matter which direction he swung his sword from, it would ultimately aim for his bleeding chest. Kid, why are you so fixated on deceiving the residents of Azure Rock Town? Zhuo Tianya chuckled and said, let me guess, you were once harmed by an evil cultivator. Upon hearing this, Luo Li furrowed her brows and pursed her lips. Seeing the change in Luo Li's expression, Zhuo Tianya knew he was right. Look at those 2 evil cultivators over there, Zhuo Tianya said to the surrounding residents and Yan Lu. Zhuo Tianya jumped high and landed at a distance from the residents. He couldn't let them hear his conversation with Luo Li. After all, they were his followers, and he would need their spiritual energy to improve his cultivation in the future. He couldn't let them be disillusioned. Don't even think about escaping. Luo Li raised her sword and charged at Zhuo Tianya. When Zhuo Tianya used his arm to block the attack, he felt a numbness in his arm. This sword, aided by the momentum, had tremendous power. Zhuo Tianya once again realized that Luo Li was a genius in swordsmanship. He licked his lips and suppressed the immediate desire to devour Luo Li. Zhuo Tianya asked Luo Li in a condescending tone, so, how did the evil cultivators harm you? Were you robbed, or did your family suffer a tragic fate? Or perhaps your family was manipulated and turned against each other? Luo Li knew that Zhuo Tianya was trying to provoke her, and she wanted to calm herself down. It was not wise for Zhuo Tianya to fight to the death here. As long as she could hold him off and wait for the rescue from the Immortal Gate, it would be enough. But when she saw Zhuo Tianya's face, Luo Li couldn't suppress the anger in her heart. It was all because of the evil cultivators. The chaos in Sha Kingdom, the death of her father, the confrontation between her two elder brothers, her own escape, it was all because of these evil cultivators. It's all your fault. Luo Li gritted her teeth, her eyebrows furrowed tightly, her face pale, and an endless anger emanated from her eyes. Fantastic, the expression on your face right now is a work of art. Zuo Tianya exclaimed with a smile. Luo Li gradually lost her composure, and her attacks became chaotic and disorganized, as if she only wanted to vent her anger. Zuo Tianya saw that the opportunity had come and found a flaw in Luo Li's attack. He grabbed his spiritual sword with one hand and stabbed Luo Li in the stomach with the other. Zuo Tianya is an evil cultivator who absorbs other people's spiritual energy for cultivation. Several decades ago, he snatched the body refining technique, bone tempering, from a righteous cultivator. During his free time, Zuo Tianya tried to cultivate the bone tempering technique. After a while, he found that his physical strength far surpassed cultivators of the same realm. He realized that it was thanks to the bone tempering technique, so he made it one of his main cultivation techniques and benefited greatly from it. After taking over Lao Chu's body, Zuo Tianya continued to cultivate the bone tempering technique while restoring his cultivation every day. Now Zuo Tianya's physical body is comparable to a 4th or 5th grade spiritual sword. Zuo Tianya withdrew his hand. A large amount of blood instantly spilled from Luo Li's body onto the ground, and Luo Li spat out blood, losing a significant amount of blood and color in her face. Kid, who allowed you to spit blood? As my food, you can't afford to lose any weight. Zuo Tianya reached out towards Luo Li's neck, preparing to strangle her and make her suffer. He wanted to savor the expression on her face at that moment, whether it would be despair, anger, or an expressionless face. Afterwards, he planned to swallow Luo Li whole. The taste of a genius sword cultivator must be delicious. To Zuo Tianya's surprise, his outstretched hand didn't grab anything, but instead, he felt a sharp pain in his own hand. Standing in front of him was an ordinary-looking young man, Lu Chuan, who had been carrying an unconscious disciple on his back. Lu Chuan supported the staggering Luo Li with one hand and pierced Zuo Tianya's hand with his spiritual sword. He used 10 points to purchase an origin returning pill from the points store and fed it to Luo Li. Luo Li shouldn't die here. According to the original story, Luo Li should be fighting against Zuo Tianya together with Su Lianlian. Due to her previous warning, Su Lianlian was cautious of Luo Li, and they kept a considerable distance between them. If Luo Li were to die here, the heavenly Tao would react and bring down heavenly punishment to kill everyone nearby. Through the tattered clothes, Lu Chuan could see Luo Li's visibly healing stomach. Her pale face, due to excessive blood loss, began to regain its rosy color, putting his mind at ease. Su Lianlian frowned, thinking to herself, this pill for healing flesh and blood is too effective. The origin returning pill used to heal flesh and blood wounds is commonly used by cultivators. Generally, it takes a long time for the pill to take effect, at least 10 minutes. The higher the quality, the shorter the time it takes to take effect. But no one would specifically refine higher grade pills for such basic pills. Except for Lu Chuan. Su Lianlian had personally witnessed Lu Chuan refining pills before. Although they were basic pills, the terrifying thing was that each pill had a pill pattern, making them priceless treasures. She still had a few bottles of such rare goods in her possession. Looking at Meng Qing not far away and combining his unusual behavior these past few days, he suddenly became very powerful and showed no reaction upon seeing her. Su Lianlian had a guess in her mind. The Meng Qing in front of her was disguised as Lu Chuan. Su Lianlian remembered that when she went to find Lu Chuan 2 days ago, she told him that she was going to the Immortal Gate to complete a mission. So, did he guess that there would be danger on the way and came to protect her? At this critical moment, Su Lianlian's nervous heart suddenly relaxed when she realized that Lu Chuan was by her side. But why did he hide his identity and keep it from her? The sudden and intense pain caused Lu Li to lose consciousness in an instant. After Lu Chuan fed her the origin returning pill, Lu Li gradually regained consciousness. Opening her eyes, Lu Li felt herself lying in someone's arms. She leaned against a broad and sturdy chest, and could smell the unique scent that belonged to someone, a scent that Lu Li was familiar with. A sense of relief rose in Lu Li's heart, a feeling she had experienced yesterday in the desert. The familiar smell, the familiar feeling. Lu Li remembered the source of this familiar feeling, it was senior brother Lu Chuan. When she opened her eyes, however, she saw Meng Qing's face. Lu Li couldn't react for a moment, unable to say a word. She frowned in confusion. Why is it like this? Why does Meng Qing's senior brother smell like Lu Chuan's senior brother? She had been competing with Lu Chuan's senior brother every day, staying in the same room. She couldn't possibly mistake this familiar scent. The one embracing her was definitely Lu Chuan's senior brother. Are you awake? You should rest on the side first. Your external injuries have healed, but your internal organs are not fully recovered. Let me handle this. Lu Li hurriedly went to Su Lianlian's side. Lu Chuan's disguise technique had not been removed yet, so he could only display the strength of an early foundation building stage. But Zhuo Tianya was currently at the mid-foundation building stage, and he hadn't fully adapted to his new body yet. Lu Chuan believed that he could deal with Zhuo Tianya. Being able to defeat Zhuo Tianya without revealing his identity and obtain the body refining technique, bone tempering, would naturally be the best outcome. Lu Chuan held the 5th grade spiritual sword produced by the system store and said to Zhuo Tianya, "You old evil cultivator, only know how to bully the weak. Since you've bullied my junior brother, I'll make him pay back twice as much." Upon hearing Lu Chuan's words, Zhuo Tianya sneered and said, "Just based on your early foundation building stage, you still want to avenge that kid? It's truly laughable. I hate things like friendship, family, and love the most. Since you've stood up for your junior brother, I'll let that kid watch as you die in my hands." Zhuo Tianya was getting impatient. He wanted to quickly end the battle and extract the dantians of the 3 people from the Hope Immortal Gate to consume them. "You're only at the mid-foundation building stage, what's with the arrogance?" Lu Chuan responded. Zhuo Tianya's cultivation had regressed due to being besieged by the righteous path. When his sore spot was mentioned, he became enraged and attacked with full force. "You arrogant brat, take this." Zhuo Tianya charged towards Lu Chuan and quickly swung his clenched fist when he got close. He wanted to create a big hole in Lu Chuan's stomach. Not good enough, old man. Although Lu Chuan could only display the strength of an early foundation building stage, his early foundation building stage was a unified improvement, without any flaws, a perfect state. After that, he consolidated his cultivation through the Dao Rhyme in the sacred land. Most cultivators have some deficiencies in their cultivation, but this is especially true for evil cultivators. To defeat Lu Chuan at the early foundation building stage, Zhuo Tianya would have to at least restore himself to his peak state, the late foundation building stage. In Lu Chuan's eyes, Zhuo Tianya's actions seemed to be in slow motion. He didn't easily make a move before because he was worried that Zhuo Tianya was hiding his true cultivation. In fact, Zhuo Tianya had already reached the late foundation building stage or even the gold core stage, but after watching Zhuo Tianya spar with Lu Li, Lu Chuan confirmed that he really only had the mid-foundation building stage, and only made a move when Lu Li was in danger. Dodging Zhuo Tianya's attack, Lu Chuan moved to his side. Lu Chuan enveloped the spiritual sword with dense spiritual energy, swung the sword, and inserted it into Zhuo Tianya's abdomen, cutting open his belly from bottom to top. Zhuo Tianya missed and looked up at the sky. He guessed that Lu Chuan had jumped to avoid his attack. In the next moment, he felt excruciating pain tearing through his heart and lungs. "Ah, ah, ah," Left Tianya shouted. Looking down, he saw a bright red mess on the ground, with intestines slipping out of the wound and continuously falling out. Left Tianya quickly grabbed the intestines and stuffed them back into his stomach. He turned to Lu Chuan, who was standing nearby, and shouted, "What have you done?" Lu Chuan smiled and replied, "I did the same thing as you. Don't worry, I have good news for you. The rescue team from Immortal Gate is on their way here. Let's play a game too. You have 2 choices. The first choice is to be killed by me, and the second choice is to be surrounded and killed by the experts from Immortal Gate." Anyway, as long as he obtained the bone tempering technique, he would be able to complete the system's mission. Left Tianya's technique was stored in his storage ring, so as long as he cut off his left hand with the ring, he could take it away. The rescue team from Immortal Gate, how is that possible? The entire Qingxi mountain is covered by my spirit treasure. The sound transmission talisman won't work here. You have a spirit treasure, why can't I have one? If the sound transmission talisman doesn't work, how about using the teleportation stone? You have a teleportation stone. I never expected an ordinary disciple from Immortal Gate to have such a rare spirit treasure. Left Tianya groaned in pain, clutching his stomach. He was now both panicked and resentful towards Lu Chuan. He couldn't have imagined that a mere early foundation building stage brat could hurt him like this. Although his cultivation hadn't fully recovered, he had practiced the bone tempering technique. His physical body was incredibly strong, and even though he hadn't achieved great accomplishment after possessing Old Chu's body, he was invincible at the same level. The kid only had a 5th grade spiritual sword in his hand, and his cultivation was only at the early foundation building stage. What was going on? No, he had to quickly resolve the battle. Once the rescue team from Immortal Gate arrived, he wouldn't be able to escape. Left Tianya secretly mobilized the spiritual energy in his dantian, and a black evil energy surged towards Lu Chuan like tentacles. Luo Li and Su Lianlian watched the battle from the side, their emotions fluctuating. Both of them were certain that Lu Chuan was fighting against Left Tianya. When they saw Left Tianya getting injured, they were both excited. When they saw Left Tianya launching a sudden attack on Lu Chuan, they felt extremely nervous. Be careful, Su Lianlian and Luo Li exclaimed in unison. The sky completely darkened, with only the faint light of the moon remaining. The torches held by the onlookers had burned out. All that could be heard were the painful screams of the Celestial Master and the warnings from Su Lianlian and Luo Li. The residents began to discuss. I heard the Celestial Master's screams. What happened? It must be those evil cultivators hiding in the mountains who attacked the Celestial Master. Although the Celestial Master is powerful, it's possible for the evil cultivators to outnumber him. No, let's get closer and see. The Celestial Master is saving Azure Rock Town from a dire situation, so we should also fight for him. Dozens or even hundreds of residents of Azure Rock Town approached Left Tianya and Luo Li. Only Yan Lu noticed that something was wrong and ran in the opposite direction, towards the foot of the mountain. She had a premonition that Left Tianya would fall today. Lu Chuan didn't expect that Left Tianya, who had been screaming in pain just a second ago, could suddenly unleash such powerful evil energy. He could only defend himself with his spiritual sword. Lu Chuan was pushed back several meters by the evil energy and finally resolved the attack. Then, he heard the sound of people approaching. Releasing his spiritual sense, Lu Chuan discovered that the residents of Azure Rock Town were coming closer, which gave him a headache. At this moment, Lu Chuan understood why Left Tianya had the residents of Azure Rock Town cultivate. The residents, who had weak spiritual energy and no resistance, were the best source of nourishment for Left Tianya. If you want to stay alive, don't come any closer. Lu Chuan shouted at the residents. Then he swung his sword with all his strength, causing the sword energy to cut down many surrounding fruit trees, creating a loud noise. Chapter 51. After Lu Qianqiu received Lu Chuan's message in the morning, she asked the horse-shaped spirit beast to pull the carriage and hurried to the Immortal Gate. In the evening, look at the Immortal Gate. An evil cultivator attacked the Immortal Gate disciples in Wu Kingdom's Azure Rock Town. They are trapped on Qingxi Mountain. The situation is urgent. Please send someone to support immediately. Lu Qianqiu took out her Immortal Gate Outer Disciple token and said to the Immortal Gate disciple who was guarding the gate. Her brows were furrowed, slight beads of sweat appeared on her forehead, and her eyes showed anxiety. As soon as the gatekeeper disciple heard that the matter was related to the safety of the Immortal Gate disciples and was related to the evil cultivator, he immediately prepared to go to Wang Song to report the matter. The leader is still in retreat, and Wang Song, as the Great Elder, can handle this matter. You wait here, I'll report this. After the gatekeeper finished speaking, he rushed to Wang Songshan Gate. Wang Song is playing chess with other elders. Haha, I win this round again. Old Wang, please stop torturing me. It will be dark soon. Please let me go. It's only what time, let's do it again. Thief Wang Song said with a smile. It's better to abuse food, Wang Song thought. This morning, he played a few games with Nangongshi, but he lost all of them. Wang Song became more resentful, so he picked up an elder who couldn't play chess and bullied him. Elder Wang Song, I have something to report. The gatekeeper shouted and knocked on the door of Wang Song's room. Come in. You are panting like this. What happened? The gatekeeper conveyed what Lu Qianzhou said to Wang Song. After listening to his disciple's report, Wang Song stood up and frowned. He remembered that he had seen this mission in the Hall of Merit. A disciple is missing in Azure Rock Town, and the mission is to find clues about the missing disciple. It makes sense if the disappearance is related to Evil Cultivator. But who would have thought that Evil Cultivator was behind the scenes? Could it be said that Evil Cultivator has penetrated into the secular world of the Eastern continent? Wang Song changed his careless demeanor and said to the elder who was playing chess with him with a serious face, "Go and inform today's deacons and elders to gather at the gate. I'll go and ask the female disciple at the gate what's going on." Wang Song and the gatekeeper came to the gate. Lu Qianzhou was pacing back and forth. She wasn't so panicked when she was rushing to Immortal Gate. As soon as she stopped, she began to worry about whether something would happen to Master Lu Chuan. If something happens to Master Lu Chuan, I have no confidence that I can survive alone. Seeing Wang Song arriving, Lu Qianzhou shook her head to dispel her random thoughts, and was about to emphasize the seriousness of the matter to Wang Song. Wang Song said, "Don't worry, we will handle this matter. Can you explain the specific situation when all the deacons and elders are here?" The deacons and elders gathered at the gate one after another. In addition to the deacons and elders, Lin Qingshe also came. Not long ago, Nangongshi went to Lin Qingshe Mountain Gate to find her and asked her to watch the Lantern Festival in a few days. The elder responsible for notifying found Nangongshi by identifying the scent. Nangongshi, gather at the gate of the sect. Evil Cultivator appears on Azure Rock Town, and the disciples are trapped in Qingxi Mountain. We have to save the sect disciples. Lin Qingshe heard clearly from the sidelines. Evil Cultivator appears in Azure Rock Town, and Luo Li is in Azure Rock Town, so Luo Li is among the trapped disciples. No, I also want to go to Azure Rock Town. Luo Li is his only disciple, so nothing can happen to him. Lin Qingshe was still waiting for Luo Li to learn all her swordsmanship and inherit his master's legacy, so that Lin Qingshe could rest assured to be with Lu Chuan. Thinking of this, Lin Qingshe rushed to the gate. Wang Song saw that the deacons and elders had arrived, and Lin Qingshe also came. Okay, please tell me specifically what happened in Azure Rock Town. Including Wang Song himself, a total of 6 nascent soul stages and 2 soul formation stage elders gathered at the gate. Lu Qianzhou told the elders that Lu Chuan and others were besieged by spiritual residents in Azure Rock Town, and that the evil cultivator was behind it. Nangongshi didn't get Lin Qingshui's answer, so she couldn't go to the Lantern Festival, and her good mood was ruined. HMPH, that's nonsense. The speaker was Nangongshi. Are you saying that the disciples of the Foundation Building Stage and Qi Refining Stage at Immortal Gate are besieged by people from the secular world and are in a desperate situation? They are not ordinary people, they are evil cultivators. Lu Qianzhou explained. It's ridiculous. Not everyone can cultivate. I think you are just like Evil Cultivator. You don't want to trick us into Azure Rock Town. There are some traps there to catch us all. I think we should ignore this woman. Good. Several deacons and elders nodded after hearing what Nangongshi said made sense. Wang Song spoke at this time. Shut up first. If there is really something wrong with any of the sect disciples, can you afford it? Wang Song knew Lu Qianzhou. When the head brother accepted Lu Chuan as his direct disciple, this little girl often followed Lu Chuan. She should be Lu Chuan's maid. She came to report that something was probably really wrong. Lu Qianzhou felt very uncomfortable at the moment. Young Master Lu Chuan was facing danger. She hoped that the elders of Immortal Gate would not rush there immediately, but would instead make things difficult for her. Seeing Lu Qianzhou's face looking like she was crying, Lin Qingshe also became depressed. She could see that this girl was not lying. Lin Qingshe stretched out her hand to hold Lu Qianzhou in her arms and said softly, I believe in you. Even if others don't go, I will go to Azure Rock Town. Then he asked a question. Why don't the trapped disciples use the sound transmission talisman to contact their master, but you come to visit Immortal Gate to find us? Lu Chuan used the teleportation stone to explain this. She recalled Master Lu Chuan's words and said, sound transmission charms cannot be used on the entire mountain of Qingxi Mountain. Evil Cultivator has interfering spirit weapon. Then how do you know this? Don't tell me that the disciples trapped at Immortal Gate couldn't escape from Qingxi Mountain, but you ran out instead. Nangongxi asked disdainfully. Lin Qingxi glared at Nangongxi, who shrank his neck. Lu Qianqiu simply took out the teleportation stone and said, "They relied on this to contact me." Seeing the instant transmission stone, the elders present somewhat believed Lu Qianqiu's words. Those who could afford this spirit weapon must be rich or noble. Such people would not lie to others casually. Plus the anxious look on her face didn't look fake. Wang Song said, "The elders present are all preparing to go to Azure Rock Town at full speed. Suppress the evil ways and save the sect disciples." The elders nodded in response, took out their spiritual swords, and prepared to fly with them. Nangongxi could only admit defeat. It seemed that her plan to go to the Lantern Festival with Lin Qingxi was going to be ruined again. It takes ordinary monks 2 days to walk, but the elders of nascent soul formation can reach it by flying for more than 2 hours. Lu Qianqiu was left looking at the gate of Immortal Gate, watching the elders leaving figure, and finally felt relieved. She held the teleportation stone in her hand, but she didn't dare to send a message to Lu Chuan. If he is hiding somewhere, the light emitted by the teleportation stone when receiving the message will reveal his location. Lu Qianqiu prayed in her heart, praying that Lu Chuan would be safe. If the young master can be safe, I can pay any price. Master Lu Chuan, didn't we agree to do a lot of things next time we meet? I'm waiting for you at the Immortal Gate. You must not break your promise. On the Bluestone Mountain, the blood-colored moon hung high in the sky, and it was almost midnight. It is less than an hour before the elders of Immortal Gate arrive at Azure Rock Town. The residents of Azure Rock Town near Zuo Tianya heard Lu Chuan's words and became more determined to help Zuo Tianya deal with Lu Chuan. Don't think we're going to back down like this. Evil cultivator, you are doubting our faith in the Heavenly Master. Even if it means death, I will take you with me. We are also cultivators and will not be afraid of evil ways like you. The era when you can bully everyone in Azure Rock Town with a little bit of cultivation is over. The residents stepped over the fallen trees, walked quickly to Zuo Tianya, and surrounded him. Some of them drew their bows and arrows and aimed them at Lu Chuan, some stretched out their arms to block Zuo Tianya from behind, and some were ready to rush forward and fight Lu Chuan. Don't you understand human language? If you still want to be alive, leave as soon as possible. Zuo Tianya was protected by a group of residents, and it was impossible for Lu Chuan to kill Zuo Tianya without hurting the residents. Zuo Tianya saw that he was surrounded by low-level practitioners. In his eyes, who was seriously injured, these people around him were not people at all, but delicious cakes. Ha ha ha, I really did something right. This is the benefit of daily accumulation of virtue. Zuo Tianya spit out a mouthful of blood and laughed wildly. Zuo Tianya stretched out his hands. That's too late, Lu Chuan thought. Even if he hurt the residents, he would immediately kill Zuo Tianya. Otherwise the price would be too high. The altar on the flat ground at the top of Qingxi Mountain is probably used to collect the spiritual energy in the residents' bodies. If he is allowed to recover here and takes the opportunity to run to the altar, the matter will be beyond Meng Qing's strength. Lu Chuan rushed towards Zuo Tianya with his sword. The residents shot arrows at Lu Chuan, and some even ran towards Lu Chuan and blocked Lu Chuan's progress with their bodies. Not far away, Zuo Tianya came into contact with 2 residents. The residents' bodies quickly shriveled up and turned into human beings in just an instant, falling to the ground. More residents fell later. The wound on Zuo Tianya's stomach healed slowly, and his complexion improved visibly. Thanks for the hospitality, I will remember your sacrifice. Go to hell, Lu Chuan shouted. He attached his spiritual energy to the spiritual sword and threw the spiritual sword in the direction of Zuo Tianya with all his strength. The residents couldn't understand what happened for a moment and froze in place, looking at their dead relatives and friends on the ground and then at Zuo Tianya, who had a gloomy look on his face. The spirit sword flew high into the sky, bypassing the residents of Azure Rock Town. After reaching the highest point, it quickly dived downwards, targeting Zuo Tianya's head. Lu Chuan Foundation Building's initial full-force blow was enough to kill Zuo Tianya, who was like a candle in the wind. Zuo Tianya showed an evil smile, grabbed 2 residents and threw them over his head, then jumped away quickly. He wanted to use the residents' bodies as buffer zones. The spirit sword penetrated the two residents, and the sword body was completely stained red with blood. Zuo Tianya, you despicable villain. Lu Chuan was angered and shouted. He controlled the spirit sword to chase Zuo Tianya. Zuo Tianya was familiar with the terrain of Qingxi Mountain and dodged flexibly, relying on the advantage of the terrain to create a distance. Lu Chuan kept up with him at full speed. We can't let him go to the altar. Su Lianlian, Luo Li, take the residents out of Azure Rock Town quickly. Lu Chuan left these words and disappeared into the night. Lu Chuan revokes his disguise and returns to Foundation Building late stage. The spirit sword was faster and rushed towards Zuo Tianya. Zuo Tianya is good at physical skills and can move extremely fast with his physical body, making it impossible for him to be caught up by the kid from the early days of Foundation Building. Seeing the top of Qingxi Mountain, Zuo Tianya felt happy. As long as you open the altar and absorb the spiritual energy from all the residents on Qingxi Mountain, it will be easy to escape after defeating Lu Chuan. Zuo Tianya stepped on the platform at the top of the mountain with 1 foot. Don't even think about it. Lu Chuan shouted. The spirit sword tracking Zuo Tianya suddenly accelerated further and was only 1 finger away from Zuo Tianya. It was impossible to dodge. In order to prevent the sword from hitting his vital points, Zuo Tianya used his left arm to resist the spirit sword. His left arm was instantly cut off by the spirit sword and fell to the ground, with blood sprinkling high into the sky. You kid, are you really only in the early stage of Foundation Building? I really can't believe that if you grow up, you can at least become a powerful person. Zuo Tianya was in pain, with a ferocious expression on his face, but his speed showed no sign of stopping. He came to the middle of the altar. Blood fell on the altar from high in the sky, and the altar lit up with red light. The originally dark sky was illuminated by the light of the altar. The altar was activated. When Su Lianlian and Luo Li heard what Lu Chuan said, they immediately organized the residents to go down the mountain. But the residents in Azure Rock Town don't know what happened on the mountain and don't believe their words at all. Instead, they said that Su Lianlian and Luo Li were evil and should not even think about escaping. The sudden light on the mountain made the residents excited, and they all said that the Heavenly Master had shown his power. Su Lianlian frowned, Luo Li felt a chill on his back, and the two looked towards the Bluestone Mountain. They were thinking the same thing. Don't let anything happen to Lu Chuan. The residents of Azure Rock Town fell one by one, and the black spiritual energy was extracted from their bodies and flowed to the top of the mountain. The residents who were not deeply cultivated just passed out, while the residents who were deeply cultivated died directly because a large amount of spiritual energy formed from the source of life disappeared. Howls, cries, and complaints filled Azure Rock Town. Azure Rock Town, which was lively and harmonious yesterday, turned into a hell on earth tonight. In the huge Azure Rock Town, only Qihan, Su Lianlian and Luo Li did not faint. What happened? Su Lianlian asked in confusion. Luo Li only had a bad premonition, and she thought, Senior brother Lu Chuan is still fighting alone on the mountain, for me. Senior brother Lu Chuan is always like this. He always stands up in times of crisis. Whether it was during the intersect competition or when he was attacked by a giant scorpion, even this time it was he who stood up to protect himself. Why is senior brother Lu Chuan so kind to him, and why does he always stand up for himself in times of crisis regardless of his own safety? It was obviously a question, it was obviously a reproach, but Luo Li felt that his heart was filled with warmth. The girl's first love spreads in her heart. I was so excited that tears fell from my eyes. Senior brother Lu Chuan, you are always like this. I will get used to it and rely on you. Luo Li muttered in a voice that only he could hear. Luo Li suppressed his tears, picked up his spiritual sword and ran towards the mountain. From this moment on, the reason why Luo Li practiced hard was no longer just to return to Sha Kingdom for revenge, but also for Lu Chuan. Senior brother Lu Chuan will fight to protect himself, so I will also fight for senior brother Lu Chuan and protect him from all those who want to harm senior brother Lu Chuan. Where are you going? Come back quickly. Seeing Luo Li running towards the mountain, Su Lianlian shouted and chased after Luo Li. The elders of Wang Immortal Gate who had arrived at Shengle City noticed that a strange phenomenon occurred in the sky in the north. Wang Song felt bad, something really happened on Qingxi Mountain, and it was the work of evil cultivator. He turned to the elders and said, Everyone, speed up. At the top of Qingxi Mountain, Lu Chuan picked up Zhuo Tian's left arm and put it in the storage ring. In just an instant, Zhuo Tian's wounds healed, and his severed left arm grew back. The aura on his body surged, and his whole body glowed red. Ha ha ha, I'm back on the foundation building late stage again. Zhuo Tianya laughed arrogantly. Yanliu was working hard at the foot of the mountain, trying to suck back the spiritual energy drawn out of his body, but in the end, he was using his arms as a trap. All the spiritual energy in Yanliu's body was drained away, and she died in the crop field at the foot of the mountain. Suddenly receiving a large amount of spiritual energy, Zhuo Tianya laughed louder, and the aura on his body was still rising. This is really an unexpected surprise. Now I am no longer the foundation building stage. I, Zhuo Tianya, am also a gold core immortal. When Zhuo Tianya was talking, the clear female voice of the system sounded in Lu Chuan's ears. It is detected that the host seizes the opportunity of the protagonist. Already acquired the body refining technique, bone tempering technique. Reward: bone tempering gong. Great accomplishment will be distributed soon. It may hurt a little, host, please bear with it. Quote. The next moment the system finished speaking, Lu Chuan felt severe pain. The trembling bones seemed to be cut by knives, and there seemed to be a fire burning in the marrow. The muscles all over the body were twitching, as if in protest. The body refining technique is different from the Taoist practice of absorbing the energy of heaven and earth. The changes in the body at each level will cause the practitioner to experience such severe pain. Lu Chuan's bone tempering Kung jumps directly from entry to great accomplishment, and the physical pain is unbearable. Zhuo Tianya was stunned when he saw Lu Chuan's face change not far away, but he felt happy when he saw Lu Chuan's painful expression. Boy, how come you hide your identity and your strength? Zhuo Tianya felt the aura on Lu Chuan's body and showed an evil smile. The real strength is foundation building late stage. No wonder it hurt me just now. But it's different now. I'm a gold core immortal. You don't even have the ability to resist in front of me. Naturally, Zhuo Tianya would not know that Lu Chuan only used the initial strength of foundation building when he dealt with him just now. He thought Lu Chuan had gone all out before. Your expression is very good now, I like it very much. Be afraid of me, and feel regret and pain for provoking me. Zhuo Tianya looked at Lu Chuan's face with relish and said with a smile. If he hadn't known that Immortal Gate's rescue was on the way, he would have tortured Lu Chuan some more, and then eaten him alive after he was satisfied. Let's finish this quickly, Zhuo Tianya said, rushing towards Lu Chuan who was standing still with all his strength. He was like a ghost in the dark night, his swift body raised up wind and sand, blocking the bright light emitted by the moon in the sky. Lu Chuan couldn't move. He saw Zhuo Tianya running towards him and gave orders to his body, but his body was indifferent and was still adapting to the pain. He could only use the spiritual energy in his body to drive the spiritual sword and let it stand in front of him to resist Zhuo Tianya's attack. It's all in vain. Zhuo Tianya punched Lu Chuan in the face, but the 5th grade spirit sword did not stop his fist, and the spirit sword was knocked away. Breaking through the spirit sword, Zhuo Tianya punched Lu Chuan with all his strength. The 5th grade spirit sword was already considered an expensive high-level spirit weapon in the world of cultivation, but it was cracked by Zhuo Tianya's full blow. With his cultivation in the gold core stage and his body practicing the bone tempering kung fu, he is so arrogant. What Zhuo Tianya didn't expect was that he felt a sharp pain in his fist. It was like cotton hitting a steel plate. Lu Chuan was unscathed, but Zhuo Tianya could feel that his hand bones were broken. It hurts. What kind of monster are you? Zhuo Tianya's voice was trembling. Zhuo Tianya quickly distanced himself and subconsciously put up a defensive posture to prevent Lu Chuan from suddenly attacking him. This is the physical inertia formed by his years of actual combat. Zhuo Tianya's body feels that Lu Chuan is dangerous, and he is afraid of Lu Chuan. The pain in Lu Chuan's body has reduced to a tolerable level, and he can try to move his body slightly. You keep yelling there. It's very annoying. With these words behind him, Lu Chuan disappeared into the night. Zhuo Tianya looked around, trying to find Lu Chuan's figure. After a few seconds, he felt a burning pain on his face. The scene in front of him changed rapidly, and there was a smell of rust in his throat. PFF'd. Zhuo Tianya spit out blood. Zhuo Tianya was pushed back more than 10 meters by Lu Chuan's punch. Lu Chuan just wanted to give it a try and punched lightly. He didn't expect Zhuo Tianya to be so weak. Is the gold core period very good? I don't think so. Lu Chuan originally wanted to use Zhuo Tianya to test his strength, but seeing how weak Zhuo Tianya was, he gave up the idea of testing. Mr. Evil Cultivator who only does bad things, you can die now. Lu Chuan came to Zhuo Tianya and said with a smile. In Zhuo Tianya's eyes, Lu Chuan teleported in front of him, and he couldn't see Lu Chuan's movements at all. This was a strength gap, and Zhuo Tianya realized that he could not beat the boy in front of him. So Zhuo Tianya began to beg for mercy. He knelt in front of Lu Chuan and cried, "Immortal, I don't want to die yet, please let me live. I will change my ways, and I will destroy my Dantian. As long as I can live, I can do anything. You can let me be a fairy or your dog." Zhuo Tianya became more and more excited as he talked, and his painful cries echoed on the top of the silent Qingxi mountain. His tears seemed to be telling his regrets. He looks like an ordinary middle-aged man who is broken down and in pain. After all, his current body was taken from him. Lu Chuan knew that the person in front of him was an evil cultivator who had done all kinds of bad things, and he had no mercy for him. He stretched out his hand towards Zhuo Tianya's neck. Zhuo Tianya wanted to strangle Luo Li to death, so Lu Chuan strangled Zhuo Tianya to death. If you want to kill someone, you must be prepared to be killed. Immortal, I was wrong, please, let me live. Zhuo Tianya struggled, feeling extremely desperate before the Jedi's strength gap, and died in despair. He couldn't let others find out that Zhuo Tianya was now a gold core cultivation level. Lu Chuan originally wanted to wait until rescue from Immortal Gate arrived, but this was no longer possible. Lu Chuan could feel Su Lianlian and Luo Li rushing towards him, and it took time to use the disguise technique. The exposure of his true identity is irreversible. There is no problem that Meng Qing in the early stage of foundation building can resist Zhuo Tianya in the middle stage of foundation building, but Lu Chuan in the Qi refining late stage can kill Zhuo Tianya in the gold core stage. Who would believe it? Adjusting the breath to the early stage of foundation building, Lu Chuan immediately felt heartbreaking pain, and his bones were rattling, protesting Lu Chuan's actions just now. It hurts, it hurts. Lu Chuan took a breath of cold air. At this time, not far from the top of the mountain, Su Lianlian was trying to prevent Luo Li from approaching Lu Chuan. Luo Li, what are you going to do? I'm going to find senior brother Lu Chuan. Luo Li's voice revealed determination. Sure enough, Luo Li also recognized Lu Chuan. Su Lian missed it. Su Lianlian shouted, "Don't go, the battle at the foundation building stage is not something we can get involved in. Two people are better than one." Luo Li retorted. "Even if I can only cheer for him by his side, I will do anything that can help senior brother Lu Chuan." Luo Li thought and quickened his pace. Looking at the elders at Immortal Gate, they can already see the Bluestone Mountain. Wang Song released his spiritual consciousness and looked in the direction of Azure Rock Town. What the hell is going on? Wang Song frowned, feeling impatient. Wang Song felt that something was wrong with all the residents of Azure Rock Town. Hundreds of people were dead, hundreds were unconscious, and hundreds more were lying on the ground howling in pain. Divided into two teams, Lin Qingxi, Nangongxi and I went to the top of Qingxi Mountain to see what happened with the ominous bloody light just now. The other elders went to Azure Rock Town to rescue the residents. On the top of Qingxi Mountain, Lu Chuan, who was still adapting to his body, felt a strong aura approaching him. Several of them were familiar to him. I wonder why there is Lin Qingxi in the rescue at Immortal Gate. Luo Li and Su Lianlian reached the top of Qingxi Mountain one after another. The person standing not far away was not Meng Qing, but Lu Chuan, whom both of them were familiar with. It is indeed senior brother Lu Chuan. Luo Li murmured. Zhuo Tianya fell beside Lu Chuan. Luo Li and Su Lianlian were relieved to see Zhuo Tianya defeated. Luo Li's tense heart relaxed. She had been worried about whether senior brother Lu Chuan would lose to Zhuo Tianya. The shadow caused by the nervousness on her face dissipated, revealing a faint smile. It's great that senior brother Lu Chuan is okay. Luo Li thought. When Su Lianlian saw Lu Chuan covered in blood and with a painful look on his face, he noticed something was wrong and hurriedly trotted to Lu Chuan. Idiot, what's wrong with you? Su Lianlian asked worriedly. Su Lianlian actually guessed that Lu Chuan could defeat Zhuo Tianya. In her eyes, although Lu Chuan is not omnipotent, he will never do anything he is not sure of. As long as Lu Chuan takes action, he will be there to control it. But was Lu Chuan seriously injured in order to defeat Zhuo Tianya? This is what Su Lianlian is worried about. Lian. Lu Chuan just said these two words, and the muscles on his face and mouth felt pain like electric shocks. This was punishment for him moving around before he could adapt to his body. Lu Chuan frowned, his forehead was covered with sweat, and his eyes were closed due to pain. Idiot, don't scare me. Seeing Lu Chuan's face pale and painful, Su Lianlian panicked and didn't know what to do. Senior sister Su, do you still have any recovery pills with you? Seeing senior brother Lu Chuan's painful look, Luo Li felt relieved again. Su Lianlian didn't know where Lu Chuan was injured, so she took out one origin returning pill, chi condensation pill, and heavenly origin pill from the storage ring. Open your mouth. Lu Chuan could hear Su Lianlian's uneasiness in her words. In fact, he was fine, and taking pills could not relieve the pain. Lu Chuan wanted to explain. He tried to speak, I'm fine. The severe pain made Lu Chuan take a breath. You're like this and you still say it's okay. Why are you so tough-mouthed? Seeing that Lu Chuan didn't respond, Su Lianlian became more and more anxious. Suddenly she had an idea, put the heavenly origin pill in her mouth, stood on tiptoes and kissed Lu Chuan on the lips. Su Lianlian used her soft and slippery tongue to pry open Lu Chuan's teeth, spit the elixir into Lu Chuan's mouth, and then used her tongue to send the elixir into Lu Chuan's throat. Feeling that Lu Chuan had indeed swallowed the pill and that his mouth was empty, Su Lianlian let go of Lu Chuan. After doing this in one breath, Su Lianlian breathed heavily. Lu Chuan could see the silver arc drawn by the tip of her tongue when she left him, and her lips were soaked with his own saliva. There are 2 more pills, please bear with me a little longer. Su Lianlian knew Luo Li was watching not far away, her face flushed, and in order to hide her shyness, she buried her face in Lu Chuan's arms. Take a break and calm down your breathing. Su Lianlian put her arms around Lu Chuan's neck and repeated it again. Su Lianlian knew that this was an urgent moment and had to quickly let Lu Chuan take the elixir, but when they kissed, she could feel a warmth deep in her heart. Lu Chuan was worried that he would have an accident, so he followed him to Azure Rock Town in disguise. He didn't tell himself, he just paid silently. If the accident hadn't happened here, he might never have noticed that Meng Qing was Lu Chuan pretending to be Lu Chuan. We are not just using the relationship as simple as that. If he is sincere to us, we must also express it. Su Lianlian could feel her own feelings. It feels so good to feel the scent of the person you like. There's one more. This time, even her breathing was not steady. Su Lianlian kissed her again for pleasure. Luo Li on the side witnessed Su Lianlian's 3 passionate kisses with her own eyes. Holding his chest, Luo Li wanted to relieve the pain in his heart. His heart hurt as if it was being torn apart. Su Lianlian stopped kissing, but her hands still didn't let go. She leaned close to Lu Chuan's ear, panting slightly and asked softly, "Are you feeling better, idiot?" Lu Chuan saw Luo Li not far away and wanted to remind Su Lianlian to keep distance from him, but his body was still hurting so he had to give up. Fortunately, the pain in my body subsided quickly and I could move freely after a while. He could only blink to show that he felt better. Luo Li stayed where she was. She thought of a lot at this moment. She is just a fugitive secular princess, but senior brother Lu Chuan is the legitimate son of the Lu family, a family of cultivators, and their status is unequal. Her master Lin Qingshe also clearly likes senior brother Lu Chuan. Those who like senior brother Lu Chuan include senior sister Su Lianlian in front of me, and possibly Lu Qianzhou, who exchanged teleportation stones with senior brother Lu Chuan. In the eyes of senior brother Lu Chuan, I am just an ordinary junior brother. How can I compete with Su Lianlian and Lu Qianzhou? Lin Qingshe is his master. Do he have the confidence to compete with his master for a man? Luo Li's heart was in chaos. Wang Song, Nangong Shi, Lin Qingxie reached the top of Qingxi Mountain. They all noticed that there was Anomaly's altar on the flat ground, and there were bloodstains around the altar. What happened here? Wang Song looked solemnly and glanced around. He saw Luo Li with a complex expression, and Su Lianlian and Lu Chuan not far away. Su Lianlian has separated from Lu Chuan and is touching Lu Chuan's body with her hands. Does it hurt here? Just blink if it hurts. It hurts, my aunt, please don't touch me. I hope the rescue elders from Immortal Gate have arrived. Lu Chuan thought. Lu Chuan blinked fiercely, trying to signal Su Lianlian to put some distance between herself and him. It hurts so much. Is the origin returning pill not effective enough? Can I take another one? Su Lianlian teased Lu Chuan with a sly smile. Lin Qingxie also noticed Luo Li. It seemed that her disciple was fine, but when she looked towards the middle of the altar, she saw an unexpected person. Lu Chuan was covered in blood, his hair was messed up from the fight with Zuo Tianya, and his clothes were in tatters. Lu Chuan, why are you here? What happened to the blood on your body? Did you get into a fight with someone? Lin Qingxui's tone was anxious as he rushed towards Lu Chuan from midair. Luo Li heard a familiar voice and looked towards the source of the sound in midair. Only then did he know that rescue from Immortal Gate was coming. Master, Luo Li greeted Lin Qingxie. Lin Qingxie, however, rushed straight towards Lu Chuan as if he had not seen his own disciple. Nangongxi first noticed a dead middle-aged man lying on the ground, and guessed that this was the evil cultivator that Lu Qianqiu mentioned. Turning around, he saw his goddess Lin Qingxui's face full of worry and anxiety, running towards a junior who was looking at the Immortal Gate. That person was Lu Chuan. Lin Qingxie rushed to Lu Chuan and scanned Lu Chuan's body from top to bottom, trying to see if Lu Chuan was injured anywhere. She frowned slightly, her dark eyes showing worry, as if she was about to cry at any moment. Su Lianlian said, Uncle Lin, he is fine. It's just that his whole body hurts, and he can't speak or move yet. When Lu Chuan saw Lin Qingxie worried about him, he wanted to say that he was fine, but Su Lianlian said it for him. He winked at Lin Qingxie, indicating that Su Lianlian was right. Seeing this, Lin Qingxie breathed a sigh of relief, his brows relaxed, and his slightly trembling mouth relaxed. As long as it's okay. If you can't move, I'll take you to the town and find an inn for you to lie down and rest. Lin Qingxie said that he was about to go to the princess to pick up Lu Chuan and carry him down the mountain. Next to her, Su Lianlian gritted her teeth and clenched her fists when she saw how close Lin Qingxie and Lu Chuan were. The idea that Lu Chuan would choose Lin Qingxie to distance herself made her feel uneasy in her heart. Luo Li, who saw this scene not far away, had mixed emotions. She knew that her master had a romantic relationship with senior brother Lu Chuan, but she had no choice but to fall in love with senior brother Lu Chuan. I saw master and Lu Chuan getting along with each other with my own eyes. While I was happy for master, I also felt a sense of loss. Luo Li also wanted to hug, kiss, and joke with senior brother Lu Chuan. In Lu Chuan's heart, he is a boy. If he doesn't tell Lu Chuan that he is a girl, he will never have a chance. At this moment, Luo Li made a decision in her heart. She believed in senior brother Lu Chuan. If she had the chance, she would confess to senior brother Lu Chuan that she was a girl. How brother Lu Chuan will behave is not something he can know. Lu Chuan was picked up by Lin Qingxie. Lin Qingxie held Lu Chuan's waist with one hand and lifted Lu Chuan's legs with the other. Lin Qingxie felt that Lu Chuan's body was stronger and his muscles were tighter. The protagonist Luo Li was detected to be uneasy. Bonus points, 1000 points. Points remaining, 5230 points. Congratulations to the host for successfully earning a large amount of points on Luo Li. Please keep up your efforts, I am optimistic about you. Quote. The sound of the system rang in Lu Chuan's ears, and Lu Chuan still didn't understand the situation. Was Luo Li unhappy and jealous when he saw Lin Qingxie having close contact with him? Luo Li has already begun to have other feelings for Lin Qingxie. Senior sister Lin, how can I bother you? Leave this dirty work to me. When Nangongxi saw Lin Qingxie holding Lu Chuan, he was anxious and ran towards Lin Qingxie, wanting to take Lu Chuan. Lin Qingxie said coldly to Nangongxi, go away. The cold aura on her body stabbed Nangongxi like the edge of a sword. Even Su Lianlian on the side could feel Lin Qingshui's anger at this moment. Lin Qingshui must care about Lu Chuan very much. But I will not give up. I am Su Lianlian, the future saintess of the demon cult. Lu Chuan said that he would send himself to the position of saintess. The worst case scenario is that I will no longer be the saintess of the demon cult and pester Lu Chuan. Nangong Shi suddenly felt bad, but he still wanted to fight for it and didn't want Lu Chuan to have too much contact with Lin Qingshui. Senior Sister Lin, I am also an elder at Immortal Gate. I also have the responsibility to take care of the injured disciples. No need, I will take good care of him. After Lin Qingshui said that, he stepped on the spiritual sword and flew towards the town on the mountainside. He held Lu Chuan harder in his hand, for fear that Lu Chuan would fall. Luo Li, what happened here? Is there an evil cultivator here? Wang Songjian couldn't get in Lu Chuan's words. Although he was confused as to why Lu Chuan was on Qingxi Mountain, he still focused on getting the information about the evil cultivator and the disappointed Immortal Gate disciples. He simply came to Luo Li, who was standing aside, and asked Luo Li. Luo Li was asked by Wang Song and told what he knew. After Wang Song heard this, he had many questions in his mind, but he didn't know where to start. At the moment, he had to ensure the safety of other missing disciples first. Nangong Shi, go to the mountain to search for other missing disciples. If you find them, gather them at Azure Rock Town. I will escort these 2 disciples down the mountain later. Although Nangong Shi was still feeling depressed, business was important. After hearing Wang Song's words, he got into the orchard. Wang Song walked to the center of the altar and looked at the dead Zuo Tianya. I heard from Luo Li that this is the culprit of this incident, the evil cultivator in the middle of Foundation building. Wang Song thought. Seeing that Zuo Tianya didn't look like an ordinary cultivator, Wang Song knelt down and poked Zuo Tianya's body with his finger. This person is not an ordinary mid-stage foundation building person. He has also practiced the body refining technique. His overall strength is judged to be above the foundation building late stage. Wang Song murmured. What is Lu Chuan's current level? Wang Song's voice was trembling. Watching Immortal Gate a few days ago, when Wang Song met Lu Chuan, he was still chi refining late stage. He might be hiding his cultivation. Brother Lu Chuan is in the early stages of foundation building. Luo Li said. What? It turns out to be Jin. The early stage of foundation building. When Wang Song heard about the early stage, he thought Lu Chuan's hidden strength was actually in the early stage of gold core, but he realized that it was in the early stage of foundation building. He could no longer control the expression on his face. His mouth was wide open, his face was full of surprise and shock. Wang Song swallowed his saliva, turned to look at Luo Li and Su Lianlian, and asked, Are you sure that this evil cultivator was defeated by Lu Chuan? It's absolutely true, the 2 women said in unison. Who would believe that a new cultivator in the early stage of foundation building can kill the sinister evil spirits with the strength of foundation building late stage? Lu Chuan is truly terrifying, to be able to attract the attention of the ancestor of the sect, to be favored by Lin Qingshui, and to be the undoubted leader among the new disciples of Immortal Gate. The head brother really has accepted a talented disciple, what a blessing. With this son, how can I not be happy with Immortal Gate? Hope Immortal Gate can only be ranked in the middle among the cultivation sects, and has always lacked geniuses with leadership skills. Now that Lu Chuan has appeared, he will definitely change the status quo and make Hope Immortal Gate's development advance by leaps and bounds. Wang Song thought for a while and then looked at the grand scene of Immortal Gate. The corners of his mouth could not help but raise. When the head brother came out, he asked Lu Chuan when the marriage to his own Yan Yan would be finalized. We must polish this boy well and do everything we can to promote his growth. The current world of cultivation is not stable. Only when we have the strength to protect ourselves can we talk about the future. Let's go down the mountain to the town first. Elder Nangong has gone to look for Wu Dian and the others. We will meet up in the town later. Wang Song said, taking Su Lianlian and Luo Li down the mountain. In the sky, the moon has faded away from its blood-red color and returned to its bright appearance. It has almost dropped to the horizon. In the east, the sun has already emerged, and the early rays of the sun shine on the Bluestone Mountain. When they arrived in the town, Wang Song was shocked. Thousands of people were lying on the streets of Azure Rock Town. Some of them had shriveled up into human corpses, some had haggard faces and were clearly dead, and some were just pale and fine. There were cries and cries in the streets. Voice. First, we arrived at Azure Rock Town where the elders of Wong Immortal Gate were rescuing the residents. They used spiritual energy to nourish the villagers who were still saved. These lying on the ground are the evil cultivators who are besieging you and have spiritual energy in their bodies. Wong Song asked the two people behind him. The sun illuminates Azure Rock Town, and the pain and ferocious expressions on the faces of the residents are unbearable to watch. Yeah, Su Lianlian said lightly. She was used to seeing people die in the demon cult, and she had no special thoughts. Luo Li nodded, couldn't bear to look directly, and turned his head to one side. They clearly tried their best to explain to the residents at that time and told them to leave here quickly. However, the residents spoke harshly to the two people and even attacked them. Is this retribution? On Qingxi Mountain, Nangongshi found the unconscious Ji Yu Ming in the fruit forest the bait Zuo Tianya had placed on the top of the mountain before. Ji Yu Ming was still breathing slightly, so Nangongshi knelt down to check on him. The spiritual energy in his body has completely disappeared. If it is not replaced, he will die soon. Nangongshi didn't know why Ji Yu Ming's spiritual energy was so lacking, so he first injected some of his own spiritual energy into his body to nourish his dantian, so that Ji Yu Ming's life was not in danger. Nangongshi carried Ji Yu Ming on his back and continued searching. Ji Yu Ming came to Azure Rock Town more than half a month ago, and maybe the others were still alive. After exploring for a while, Nangongshi found a hidden cave on the cliff. As soon as he entered the cave, he felt eerie. There must be something wrong with this cave. Wu Dian was not deep in the cave. Nangongshi recognized him as a disciple of Wong Immortal Gate, but Wu Dian had no life left and was already dead. Continuing to walk inside, I saw several white bones inside. All the Wong Immortal Gate disciples who came before were dead except Ji Yu Ming, and Wu Dian's two younger brothers were no exception. There is a circular altar on the ground. It's very similar to the one on the top of the mountain. Nangongshi thought. Then he took out the photo stone and recorded the altar on the ground. After destroying the altar and activating spiritual energy to burn the bones, Nangongshi returned to Azure Rock Town with the stones of the unconscious Ji Yu Ming and Wu Dian. Wang Song was helping to save people with spiritual energy. When he saw Nangongshi carrying two Immortal Gate disciples on his back, he asked, "Are these two the only ones alive?" Nangongshi shook his head. Only one person is still alive, the others have turned into bones, leaving only Wu Dian's whole body. These are the young disciples of the sect, they are the mainstay of Immortal Gate's future. When Wang Song heard Nangong's words, he clenched his fists, frowned and said in a deep voice, "Bring Wu Dian's body to his master for disposal. How is the condition of the one who is still alive? When I found him, he had no spiritual energy and was already on the verge of death. I injected some of his spiritual energy, and now he is temporarily out of danger." Nangongshi said, remembering the altar he saw in the cave, and took out the photo stone to show to Wang Song. "Elder Wang, look at what this is." Wang Song looked carefully. This is the complete version of the altar we just saw on the top of the mountain. Wang Song said in shock. The large altar built by Evil Cultivator on the top of the mountain has not yet been completely built, so when the altar was activated to absorb the residents' spiritual energy, the residents with relatively low cultivation survived. If he had completely built the altar, or activated this one in the cave, the consequences could be disastrous. I'm so lucky to have Mr. Lu Chuan following me. If he hadn't come. Wang Song thought about this what if and shook his head in pain. Luo Li and Su Lianlian were both rare talents at Immortal Gate, so nothing could happen to them. All the vitality of all creatures on the Bluestone Mountain will be absorbed, and all flowers, plants, trees, spirit beasts, and residents will die. Wang Song sighed in his heart. Fortunately, Lu Chuan got rid of Zuo Tianya in advance, otherwise all living things would die at the hands of Zuo Tianya. It was Lu Chuan who saved Qingxishan. It is no exaggeration to say that Lu Chuan is the benefactor of the living residents of Azure Rock Town. He also stood up in times of crisis and protected Su Lianlian and Luo Li. Looking back at Immortal Gate, he should be rewarded well, such as the opportunity to enter the secret realm, spirit weapon, spirit treasure, whatever he chooses. After Nangong Shi placed Wu Dian's body in Ji Yuming, he began to wonder where Lin Qingshe had gone. Elder Wang, where has senior sister Lin gone? You don't care where she went. She is not a deacon or elder. You should quickly go back to Wangxian and report the matter here to the elder responsible for managing affairs in the secular world. The matter is urgent. After hearing what Wang Song said made sense, Nangong Shi said goodbye to Lin Qingshe in his heart and flew to the Immortal Gate. At this time, in the room where Lu Chuan stayed at the corner of Azure Rock Town, Lin Qingshe laid out the quilt for Lu Chuan, gently carried Lu Chuan to the bed, and covered him with the quilt. It will be more comfortable if you lie down. Lin Qingshe stared at Lu Chuan's face and said softly. Most of the pain in Lu Chuan's body has disappeared and he can already speak. Thank you, Uncle Lin. I'm fine. I just have some pain in my body. It will be fine after a while. Don't hold on. Are you suffering from internal injuries? I'm really fine. Thank you, Uncle, for caring. Lu Chuan smiled and thanked Lin Qingshe. So, why are you in Azure Rock Town? Didn't you tell me that you would be in seclusion at Zongmin Peak for a while to write, Chongqing Ju? After Luo Li and Su Lianlian arrived at Azure Rock Town, they were looking for Lu Chuan. Lin Qingshe said that he would take him back to rest. Where was he? Luo Li recalled what her master said, and she wanted to take senior Lu Chuan back to the inn to rest. Let's go back to the inn where we stayed last night and have a look. Luo Li suggested. The two arrived at the door of the room where Lu Chuan lived last night, and could hear the voices of Lin Qingshe and Lu Chuan through the door. Inside the room, Lu Chuan could not hear the question in Lin Qingshui's tone. She was just asking herself out of concern. Lu Chuan knew to answer this question well. I have finished writing, Chongqing Ju. I have something I care about, so I followed. I'm really sorry that I didn't have time to tell my uncle. Outside the house, Su Lianlian and Luo Li both heard Lu Chuan's answer. Luo Li thought, is there anything he cares about that might cause an accident when he goes out to Immortal Gate for the first time to do a mission? Su Lianlian thought, if you are concerned about something, do you mean that you told him before that you would go out to Immortal Gate to do a mission, so are you worried about yourself? It turns out that idiot senior brother Lu Chuan cares so much about himself. Hey. Luo Li and Su Lianlian thought at the same time. Both of them were immersed in the beauty, feeling extremely warm in their hearts and blushing on their faces. How did they know that what Lu Chuan said he cared about was to defeat Zuo Tianya and let him explode the technique? The world of cultivation is so dangerous. Not long ago, we were plotted and fell under a cliff in the secret realm. Have you forgotten? The leader is in retreat. I should be responsible for your safety. You ran out without saying a word to me. I am with you. Is it so unimportant in your heart? As he spoke, the expression on Lin Qingshui's face became unbearable. Her eyes were moist, her red lips were trembling, and she was about to shed tears as she blinked. Lin Qingshe lay on Lu Chuan's chest, sobbing softly, and her crystal tears wet the quilt on Lu Chuan's body. You always go out of your way for others, can you think more about yourself? Even if it's for me. What should I do if something happens to you? The cold sword fairy in the original Pure as Ice and Jade is now crying on her chest because she is worried about her own safety. Lu Chuan felt endless pity and distress in his heart, and he was also very happy. It was great to have a good girl like Lin Qingshe like him. Lu Chuan stretched out his hand to stroke Lin Qingshui's hair and said, Qingshe, I know I was wrong. I, Lu Chuan, promise you that nothing will happen to me. I am still waiting to cultivate into the great Tao and become a man worthy of you. Are you willing to wait for me? When Lin Qingshe heard Lu Chuan's confession, her heart was hot and her tears couldn't stop falling. She raised her head and said to Lu Chuan with a bright smile, of course I am willing. Why not? This is what you said. If you lie to me, I won't let you go. I'm very fierce. Quote. Yes, uncle is very fierce and I'm scared. Don't call me uncle when we are alone. I know, baby, Lu Chuan said playfully. You still call me baby, isn't that disgusting? I'm hundreds of years older than you. Lin Qingshe lay on top of Lu Chuan again, trying to hide her blushing face. She was very shy when called baby. Call me Qingshe. I like you, Qingshe. I don't like you, I love you. Lin Qingshe kissed Lu Chuan in response. Inside the room, Lin Qingshe put her chin on Lu Chuan's shoulder and rubbed her face against Lu Chuan's. Lu Chuan, I love you. Lin Qingshe grinned. She showed her white teeth, her eyes narrowed into two crescent moons, her mature and beautiful face, and her sweet smile, made her look particularly charming and cute. Seeing the innocent and cute smile on Lin Qingshe Wen's face, Lu Chuan felt that his heart was healed. I love you too, Qingshe. Ha ha ha, say it a few more times. Lin Qingshe increased her strength, her soft and warm body getting closer to Lu Chuan, and her face getting closer. Lu Chuan felt some pain from being pressed, but he still endured it. He knew that this was Lin Qingshui's way of expressing love, so he endured the pain and said it several times. Lin Qingshe happily kissed and nibbled Lu Chuan, making Lu Chuan a little unnatural. Outside the house, Lin Qingshe and Lu Chuan both kept silent when they heard the affectionate voices of Lin Qingshe and Lu Chuan talking to each other. Su Lianlian was a little angry. Less than a month ago, Su Lianlian kissed Lu Chuan, but Lu Chuan showed no sign of it. Now that she was fine, if it was Lin Qingshe who was about to cry, he would comfort her and confess his feelings while Lin Qingshe was vulnerable. When he is with himself, he is just stupid and stupid, but when he is with Lin Qingshe, he is just like that. If I had known better, I would have eaten some garlic before giving medicine to the idiot. This would also ruin the atmosphere between the two of them in the room, and maybe Lin Qingshe could taste the odor from Lu Chuan's mouth. Wait a minute, did I kiss Elder Lin Qingshe indirectly? Su Lianlian was very irritated. She lightly stamped her feet to express her anger, then turned and walked out of the inn. When Luo Li heard the affectionate confession of the two people in the room, his heart was in a mess. He didn't know what to do and followed Su Lianlian away. Several elders carried aside all the living people in the town and transferred their spiritual energy to stabilize the residents. If these people wanted to survive, they had to take expensive spiritual herbs for a long time. This expense should be borne by the state of Wu. We will send someone to the capital of Wu state in the next 2 days. Wang Song thought. Then he saw Luo Li and Su Lianlian walking towards him with depressed expressions. Sure enough, the new disciples of the sect must feel very uncomfortable when they see such a cruel scene. But this is the cruelty of the cultivation world. Evil cultivators and some demonic cultivators treat mortals like this. They regard mortals in the secular world as consumables for cultivation, so they need decency to maintain balance. After this incident, Su Lianlian, Luo Li, and Lu Chuan must have grown tremendously both physically and mentally, and they must be cultivated well. Luo Li, Su Lianlian, do you know where the mayor's home is? Wang Song asked. Not finding the mayor, Wang Song thought he would take 2 disciples to relax. Su Lianlian and Luo Li took Wang Song to the mayor's home. Wang Song released his consciousness and found the body of Mayor Zhuang Daoguang in the master bedroom and the dying Zhuang Liwan elsewhere. Zhuang Liwan was lying on the bed without any clothes on. Zhuang Daoguang died in a miserable state, with purple spots all over his face, and he was as skinny as a stick. You two should stand at the door and wait for me. I will take you back to the Immortal Gate in a while. Wang Song said with a frown. Also, if you feel uncomfortable in your heart and have nightmares at night, tell your master immediately. If you become a demon, you will be in trouble. Wang Song turned around and said to the two of them seriously. I have made you suffer. This incident will definitely attract the attention of all decent people. Evil cultivator is too rampant. Su Lianlian and Luo Li nodded, but they were thinking about Lu Chuan. After Wang Song went in to treat Zhuang Liwan, he led the two of them to find the elder and wanted to send them back to Immortal Gate first. Lin Qingshe in the inn also received the notice, can you get up? Let's go back to the sect first. There is too much yin qi and resentment here. It will make your body uncomfortable if you stay here for a long time. Lu Chuan has adapted to the pain, and now he seems to have infinite power in his body. Even if he doesn't use his spiritual energy, Lu Chuan feels that he can compete with the 5th grade defensive spirit treasure. I'm fine, let's go. Lu Chuan said, walking out of the inn with Lin Qingshui's strong support. In addition to Lin Qingshe, there were 2 other elders who summoned flying swords. The 3 of them were responsible for sending Su Lianlian, Luo Li, and Lu Chuan back to the Immortal Gate. Brother Lu Chuan, are you okay? Luo Li asked worriedly. Su Lianlian also looked at Lu Chuan with worried eyes. It's okay. Thank you for your concern. Lu Chuan grinned. An elder urged us to set off. Luo Li originally thought that he and Lin Qingxie would ride on a flying sword together, but he never thought that his master would hold the hand of senior brother Lu Chuan and ride on the flying sword together. Am I still your disciple? I just want to be good to senior brother Lu Chuan. And senior brother Lu Chuan's smiling face, you really like my master so much. Luo Li felt resentful in his heart, because he had given advice to his master before. Thinking of this, Luo Li felt very regretful. What have I done before? Without my advice, the stupid master would definitely not have progressed so fast with senior brother Lu Chuan. Luo Li wanted to cry but had no tears. On the way back to the Immortal Gate, Lin Qingxie held Lu Chuan in his arms forcefully, saying that he was worried that Lu Chuan would not recover well, and showed off his affection in front of Su Lianlian and Luo Li. Luo Li and Su Lianlian admired the scenery for more than 2 hours, not wanting to see Lu Chuan for a moment. Lu Chuan received a lot of points along the way and glanced at Luo Li a few times. He felt that Luo Li seemed to like Lin Qingxie, otherwise he wouldn't be so resentful. It seems that there is no need to compete with Luo Li in the future, just stick to Lin Qingxie in front of him. Qingxie is so nice. Lu Chuan leaned closer to Lin Qingxie and whispered in Lin Qingxue's ear, Qingxie, you smell so good. Lin Qingxie was secretly happy and raised the corners of her mouth. He suddenly lost control of the speed of the spirit sword and left the other 2 elders behind. At this moment, there is a deserted land in the north, the northern continent, separated from the eastern human continent by tens of thousands of miles of sea. It is clearly late spring, but this continent is so desolate that even a trace of green is hard to find. The sky is always filled with thick fog, so even though it is morning, the continent is still dark and dim. The roar of a large beast can also be heard not far away. It is the high-level spirit beast hunting the low-level evil cultivator. Evil cultivator can only survive in this northern continent for thousands of years. A kind-hearted old man opened his eyes and noticed that the monument with Zuo Tianya's name not far away was broken into pieces. He is Zuo Tianya's master who taught evil techniques. Touching his long beard, he narrowed his eyes and muttered, Ho ho ho, Xiao Zuo is dead. Although he has no feelings for this disciple, it is almost time to prepare for a surprise attack on the upright sect. It's time to change the world situation, and it's time to let the sanctimonious righteous people be imprisoned in this northern continent for thousands of years. The old man used the teleportation stone to send a message to Zhongsheng, asking how the situation in the Sha kingdom was. Zhongsheng is also one of his disciples. He is now the national preceptor of Sha state, with one person inferior to 10,000 people. Oh no, the current emperor of Sha is just Zhongsheng's puppet. Thinking that he was still the master of the emperor of a country, the old man laughed. Near noon, Lu Chuan and others arrived at the gate of Immortal Gate. Lu Qianqiu stood at the gate and looked to the west of Wu Kingdom. Her beautiful eyes showed fatigue, and they lost their brightness. There were faint black shadows under her eyes, and she bit her lip lightly. Lu Qianqiu had not slept all night. The housekeeper of the Chamber of Commerce persuaded her to take a rest many times, but to no avail. Leave me alone, I'm not in the mood to sleep. Lu Qianqiu is worried about Lu Chuan's safety. Seeing a flying sword approaching from the west, Lu Qianqiu trotted closer. She felt that Master Lu Chuan might be on the sword. After seeing the person clearly, Lu Qianqiu knew that Master Lu Chuan was fine and felt relieved. The originally sad eyes regained their brilliance, the frowned brows relaxed, and he took a deep breath. Lu Chuan must have stayed up all night and felt heartbroken when he saw Lu Qianqiu was so worried about him. Sister Chu is too kind to me. Jumping off the flying sword, Lu Chuan walked towards Lu Qianqiu. He wanted to give Sister Chu a hug, but Lu Qianqiu avoided it. Lu Qianqiu just saw Master Lu Chuan and Lin Qingxie very close to each other. Lin Qingxie still had a smile on her face. She guessed that Lin Qingxie was Master Lu Chuan's Taoist companion. There was a feeling of retreat in my heart, and I didn't dare to be too close to Master Lu Chuan. Sister Chu, what's wrong with you? Lu Chuan didn't know what Lu Qianqiu was thinking, he could only see the exhaustion and slight fear on her face. Lin Qingxie understood a lot when she saw Lu Qianqiu still standing at the gate of the sect, and the change in her expression when she saw Lu Chuan. Lu Qianzhou's teleportation stone 8 achievements were paired with Lu Chuan. She was so worried last night because she was worried about Lu Chuan. Lu Chuan, what is this? Lin Qingshe asked with a kind smile. Uncle Lin, this. When Lu Chuan was about to tell Lin Qingshe that Lu Qianzhou was his girlfriend, Lu Qianzhou spoke first. Elder, I am Lu Chuan's sister, my name is Lu Qianzhou. Seeing Lin Qingshui's kind attitude, Lu Qianzhou smiled back. Yesterday, when she was doubted by the elders, it was the beauty in front of her who first expressed her belief in her. Lu Qianzhou had a crush on Lin Qingshe. Young Master Lu Chuan looked very happy just now. You can leave the young master to the kind-hearted female elder in front of you. Lu Qianzhou thought. Lu Chuan still wanted to explain clearly, but Lin Qingshe covered his mouth. Lin Qingshe is not stupid, but he has never experienced love before. During this period, Luo Li told her a lot of romance novels, and she enriched her knowledge about love. Seeing the unnatural look on Lu Chuan's face, combined with Lu Qianzhou's worried attitude yesterday and the change in her expression just now, she had a guess in her mind. Lu Chuan and Lu Qianzhou may not just have a simple brother-sister relationship. That's it. My name is Lin Qingshe, you can just call me sister. Lin Qingshe smiled and took Lu Qianzhou's hand and continued, I see you haven't slept all night. Why don't you go to my mountain gate and have a good rest for a day? I also have something to say to you. When Lu Qianzhou saw Lin Qingshe taking the initiative to show her kindness, she naturally would not refuse. She also wanted to get along well with the young lady. Lu Qianzhou nodded and smiled back. I know, sister, sister. Then let's go. The smile on Lin Qingshui's face became even brighter, and she pulled Lu Qianzhou back to her mountain gate. The elders who sent Luo Li and Su Lianlian off had already left, leaving the three of them at the gate in confusion. Lu Chuan scratched his head and wondered. Lu Qianzhou calls Lin Qingshe sister, but Lin Qingshe is his uncle. Isn't this a mess? Seeing what had happened between the two of them before, how could they be so affectionate when they met for the first time? Su Lianlian thought she would see a good show, guessing that Lu Qianzhou and Lin Qingshe would quarrel or even fight over idiots, but she never expected this ending. Is this big idiot Lu Chuan really so charming? Can he enchant these two beauties? What, you ask me? I don't like that stupid fool, Big Wood. It's just that he made an agreement with himself to send himself to the position of saintess. After he has freed himself from the love spell and is no longer of use, who will look for him? Su Lianlian said a few words silently to Lu Chuan, made a face after speaking, and went back to her mountain gate to rest. Lu Chuan recognized what Su Lianlian said from the shape of her mouth. When I go to see you in a few days, you have to explain it clearly to me. Lu Chuan smiled bitterly. When Luo Li saw that everyone around him had dispersed, and only Lu Chuan and himself were left, he slowly spoke, Senior brother Lu Chuan. He wanted to speak in a calm mood, but when he thought that the two of them were alone now, Luo Li was moved and his heart beat faster. His words rose a few tones and returned to his original pronunciation. Cough cough cough. Luo Li pretended to cough. She was not mentally ready to confess yet. She didn't know what senior brother Lu Chuan thought of her. If he alienated her after knowing that she was a woman, she had no confidence that she would not be sad. Luo Li, what's wrong with you? Is your injury still not healed? Lu Chuan asked worriedly while patting Luo Li's back, trying to make him feel better. Ah! Suddenly, senior brother Lu Chuan, Luo Li called out softly. His face was covered with pink clouds, and his ears were burning. Detected protagonist Luo Li felt ashamed. Bonus points. 800 points. Remaining points. 7,320 points. Lu Chuan didn't know why Luo Li felt ashamed, and he wanted to ask. Luo Li suddenly pushed Lu Chuan away and said quickly, Thank you, senior brother Lu Chuan, for taking care of me along the way. My gratitude to senior brother is beyond words, so I will go back to the mountain gate first. After saying that, Luo Li ran away quickly. Lu Chuan was left with a petite and lovely back. Although I don't know what happened to Luo Li, it's good to get points. Too many strange things happened today. Let's go back to the head peak to deal with Meng Qing's affairs first. Meng Qing was hidden under Lu Chuan's bed. He was in a coma for 2 days and had no idea of the passage of time. Meng Qing was randomly placed in a bush by Lu Chuan at the gate of the sect. He didn't wake up until early the next morning. Why did I sleep here? Meng Qing was confused, but it didn't matter. Seeing the morning glow on the horizon, he arranged his hair and clothes and prepared to go to Azure Rock Town with Su Lianlian to complete the mission. Meng Qing waited at the gate until noon. After asking the gatekeeper, he realized that 3 days had passed since the departure day. In this way, Meng Qingqing survived with the help of Lu Chuan by accident. A few days later, the tragedy of Azure Rock Town spread among the decent sects, and Meng Qing learned that Wu Dian and others were dead. He was frightened for a while and murmured, "Fortunately, I didn't go." Spirit Sword Sect. Qin Chuqing woke up from the advanced retreat. She wore a gorgeous fiery red dress that highlighted her tall and proud figure, and her quiet and graceful face exuded endless charm. She is the future empress of the human world in the world of cultivation and the most talented cultivator in the history of the Spirit Sword Sect. Reaching the middle stage of foundation building at the age of only 20 is unimaginable in the eyes of ordinary people. Qingqing, you have successfully advanced, congratulations. The mature beauty Shu Murong came to her disciple and smiled to congratulate her. Thank you, Master. Master, please don't get so close. This disciple will find it too hot. Shu Murong pretended to cry. Don't be so cold. You might be getting married, and you don't have much time with me, Master. What to get married for? Ah, I forgot to tell you that during the 6 months since you were in seclusion, the old man who was the head of Immortal Gate and I applied for a marriage. You are the head disciple of Spirit Sword Sect, and the man is the head disciple of Immortal Gate. Although Wang Immortal Gate is not as good as our Spirit Sword Sect, but the man said that he is the legitimate son of the Lu family, a famous cultivation family, and that he is a genius with great potential, so I, Qingqing, feel a little aggrieved. Shu Murong trained Qin Chuqing as his successor. If he could marry the successor of Wang Immortal Gate, Qin Chuqing would be more confident to become the next leader. Not all decent sects are as happy, harmonious and peaceful as Wang Immortal Gate. There are a lot of overt and covert struggles in the Spirit Sword Sect, and there is a lot of competition for power. Qin Chuqing frowned her beautiful eyebrows and replied, "This disciple has no intention of discussing marriage, so I ask Master to refuse. Or if the Spirit Sword Sect can benefit from it, then this disciple is willing to sacrifice it." Spirit Sword Sect is not so depressed that he wants to seek favors from Immortal Gate. Qingqing, don't be angry. I will write a letter to refuse. I think that boy Lu is quite good looking. Don't regret it. Master, stop joking, my disciple will never regret it. Qin Chuqing said firmly. After saying that, he closed his deep eyes and practiced to consolidate his cultivation. It has been a few days since the Azure Rock Town tragedy occurred. Head peak. Lu Chuan was staying in his room to check what was in Zuo Tianya's storage ring. Body refining technique, bone tempering technique, hundreds of spirit stones, extremely common spiritual herbs. This old evil cultivator is too poor. Lu Chuan sighed. Lu Chuan put away the sundries and put away the bone tempering kung fu that he had mastered to the great accomplishment. Other things were randomly put into the storage ring and thrown aside. Wang Song and other elders have been in meetings and have not seen Su Lianlian. In the past few days, Lu Chuan went to Lin Qingshe Mountain Gate and only saw Luo Li. I don't know why, but since I came back, I can no longer get villain points by challenging Luo Li and mocking him from the perspective of the winner. Although there were few before, I can still get some points. Luo Li can only smile now and say, "Senior brother taught me, I will pay attention to it next time." Thank you, Senior brother. Could it be that now I can only get points by making out with Lin Qingshe in front of Luo Li? But every time they go, Lin Qingshe and Lu Qiancho seem to have made an appointment and will not leave the room unless they see her, which makes Lu Chuan very confused. Some of the products in the points store are quite tempting, including all kinds of spirit weapon and spirit treasure. Lu Chuan originally planned to collect 10,000 points to buy a defensive spirit weapon and give it to Lu Qiancho. She is not a cultivator and has no ability to protect herself in the dangerous world of cultivation. It's better now, the plan can only be shelved later. Shaking his head, Lu Chuan focused on his own cultivation. He has already reached the foundation building stage. As long as he takes the elixir to advance to the gold core, he will be able to reach the gold core stage naturally, without even the need for retreat. Lu Chuan's alchemy technique has reached the mid-range level, and he can confidently refine elixirs up to the nascent soul stage. I have gathered all the other common herbs, but I am still missing the red sesame. Lu Chuan muttered as he looked at the chalcedony G and Kixelian in front of him. Chalcedony G and Kixelian were obtained from meeting Su Lianlian for the first time and completing system tasks. The core of the elixir promoted to gold core is 3 kinds of precious spiritual herbs, which are difficult to find in the wild. Although a mortal gate is available, it requires a large amount of sect contribution points to redeem it. And you can't ask for it directly from Elder Wang Song, as it might reveal that you are a foundation building late-stage practitioner. Foundation building late-stage under 20. If others heard it, they would not believe it. Spirit Sword Sect, there is a genius who advanced to the middle stage of foundation building at the age of 20, and is the future empress of the human world. Counting the time, we will soon meet the Lengao Empress. Lu Chuan was lost in thought when he suddenly felt a chill on his back and knew someone had sneaked into the room. He stood up suddenly and grabbed the person behind him who wanted to get closer to him. It hurts, it's me, idiot. The visitor is Su Lianlian. Lu Chuan let go of Su Lianlian's slender arm and massaged the area where she said it hurt. Lianlian, can't you knock on the door first every time you come in? HMPH, why should I knock on the door? Su Lianlian knocked off Lu Chuan's hand and snorted, this is half of my house. Lu Chuan knew that Su Lianlian was still angry about the previous incident, so he could only nod and say yes. Haha, if you don't say anything in disguise, I will let you go. What about Lu Qianzhou and Lin Qingshe? I love them. Lu Chuan told the truth, leaving no room for negotiation. Hearing Lu Chuan express his love for another girl, Su Lianlian still felt uncomfortable, as if something was missing in her heart, empty and her eyes were red. Su Lianlian said, taking out a dark storage ring from her pocket and throwing it to Lu Chuan. That's it. Anyway, we are just using each other, I can't control that much. You can take this in exchange for helping me practice the foundation building pill. Su Lianlian's words were filled with anger. She could no longer remain objective and rational about anything like before, at least not now. Lu Chuan took the storage ring and looked at it. It contained dozens of rare spiritual herbs, including red jingji. It's an unexpected surprise that the elixir for advancing to gold core has been found. Lu Chuan hugged Su Lianlian into his arms, kissed her face, and then lifted Su Lianlian high. Lianlian, you are really my timely rain. Are these spiritual herbs given to me? Su Lianlian was suddenly picked up, her heartbeat accelerated, her face turned red, she didn't dare to look at Lu Chuan anymore, and moved her eyes aside. The spiritual grass in the storage ring was one of the rewards given by the headmaster of the demon sect to Su Lianlian for handing in evergreen Ju. Other rewards included many spirit weapons and techniques. The demon sect was truly generous for once. Su Lianlian knew that Lu Chuan could make elixirs, and thought that these elixirs might come in handy. As soon as she got the storage ring, she came to Lu Chuan and wanted to give it to Lu Chuan. In fact, Su Lianlian had been looking forward to finding Lu Chuan these days, but when she thought about Lu Chuan confessing to Lin Qingshe, having an unclear relationship with Lu Qianzhou, and not knowing what he thought about her, her heart was in a mess, so she didn't dare come to him. The gift of spiritual herbs was just an opportunity to meet, but in fact she missed Lu Chuan. You still ask after everything is in your hands. Put me down. I'm not giving it to you for free. If you can't make a good foundation building pill, I want you to get a good looking one. In order to hide the joy in her heart, Su Lianlian pretended to be angry, clenched her small fists and punched Lu Chuan's chest wildly. Lu Chuan didn't react at all, but Su Lianlian felt pain in her hands. She took her hands back and said, "Why are you so hard?" Looking at the Sunere little witch in his arms, Lu Chuan felt that Su Lianlian was cute even more. When she hit him, it felt like Lu Chuan was caressing his chest. Lu Chuan leaned close to Su Lianlian's rosy ears. "Lianlian is in my arms, of course I do, I love you too." Only then did Su Lianlian realize what she had just said. She was so embarrassed that she couldn't bear the shame. The love poison in her dantian was about to stir again. "Ah, I don't care, it doesn't matter if it's Lu Qianzhou, Lin Qingshe, or if you have Long Yangji and fall in love with the beautiful boy Luo Li. At least today you belong to me." Su Lianlian followed her inner thoughts and comforted herself by saying that she didn't like Lu Chuan and it was just the love spell that was at work. He said, "Who wants you, an idiot, to like you?" Su Lianlian took the initiative to put her arms around Lu Chuan's neck. In the past, Lu Chuan kissed her, but this time it was Su Lianlian who kissed her. On the other side, Elder Wang Song was holding a meeting in Spirit Sword Sect. Spirit Sword Sect was the #1 sect in the Eastern continent. The elders and heads of more than a dozen sects came to Spirit Sword Sect to discuss the matter of Azure Rock Town. Wang Song, as the representative of Immortal Gate, informed representatives of various sects about the Azure Rock Town tragedy. "Evil cultivator, you go too far. You really don't care about our right path. I think it's best if we go to the Northern Territory and catch them all, so that they don't stay in the cultivation world to cause harm to people." After hearing what Wang Song said, a representative from a small or medium-sized sect slammed the table, stood up and suggested. Handprints were left on the table made of spirit wood. "Haha, that's easy to say. You have to cross the sea to go to the Northern Territory. The Northern Territory is still the main battlefield of the evil cultivator. You may not be able to defeat the evil cultivator there. I think we can still find the evil cultivator in the Eastern continent. Demonic cultivator takes action, attacking evil cultivator's power step by step." "What are you talking about? Evil cultivator has been in the Northern Territory for thousands of years, and his strength cannot be compared to the rising righteousness." Seeing that the two were about to quarrel, the sleepy beauty Shu Murong said, "That's enough, let's go out and quarrel." The leader of the most upright Spirit Sword Sect spoke up, but the two elders who were so angry could only shut up obediently. No one wanted to offend the Spirit Sword Sect. Shu Murong said, "Evil cultivator hasn't taken action yet, but our righteous sect started to quarrel first. What does it look like? The first task now is to find out the evil undercover hidden in the righteous sect, strengthen the sect's defense projects, and at the same time start paying attention to the secular world. Evil cultivator penetration in the country." She leaned on the seat and crossed one of her slender feet to the other leg. Her soothing voice revealed a lazy feeling, but her whole body showed a confident and unrestrained temperament. Prior to this, the attitude of the cultivation sects towards the secular world was, "Don't care if you don't ask for help." Shu Murong put forward these points, and all the sect representatives nodded in agreement. "Okay, let's end today's meeting here," Shu Murong said leisurely. "Elder Wang Song, please stay. I have something I want to ask." The elders left one after another, leaving only Shu Murong and Wang Song present. "Master Shu, what do you want me to do?" Wang Song asked. "There is no need to be so polite in private, just call me senior sister," Shu Murong said with a smile. Then the smile disappeared, the corners of his mouth drooped slightly and he asked, "What is that old guy Zhang Junhai doing? I sent him a letter and he didn't accept it and he dared to return it." Wang Song's bad attitude towards Shu Murong is not surprising. I hope Immortal Gate and Spirit Sword Sect had a good relationship in the past. The disciples of the sect often competed with each other. Over time, they became familiar with each other and became brothers. The head brother and Shu Murong were once the immortal Dao couple that everyone envied in the world of cultivation, but later they broke up due to some things. Although the head brother has not changed much, Shu Murong's attitude towards the head brother can be said to have changed drastically. After the two became heads respectively, the relationship between the sects became even weaker. Wang Song didn't know what happened to the two of them back then, so he could only apologize and said, "Senior sister, the head brother is in retreat now and can't accept letters." Hearing this, Shu Murong's mood obviously improved. "Tisk, that old guy is going to be promoted too." Wang Song could tell from Shu Murong's tone that she was in a good mood and was happy for Zhang Junhai. Shu Murong still had feelings for Zhang Junhai. "Senior sister, just tell me if you have anything to do. Senior brother, the leader, will be out of seclusion soon. It's nothing important." Shu Murong returned to his lazy look. "I just heard you say that the Azure Rock Town matter was solved by Lu Chuan. Then Zuo Tianya is the strength of the foundation building late stage. What kind of repairs does Mr. Lu have now?" 4. Wang Song didn't know that the head brother was discussing the marriage of his descendants with Shu Murong, but he only thought that Shu Murong was learning the details of Azure Rock Town. Lu Chuan is currently in the early stage of foundation building. According to the disciples present, he defeated Zuo Tianya alone, and there were not many wounds on his body. Oh, he is in the early stage of foundation building when he is less than 20 years old. He can cross a realm and defeat Zuo Tianya. He is considered a genius boy. He is worthy of Qingqing. That's all. Let the junior deal with his own affairs. Xu Mirong decided to let Qin Chuqing go to Lu Chuan to break off the engagement. What if they fall in love at first sight, just like she and Zhang Junhai did? The old man has not contacted me for so many years. In the past few months, he came to me because of the marriage of his descendant. I am afraid that he knows his difficulties and wants to help Qin Chuqing become the next head of the Spirit Sword sect. TCH, you nosy old thing. Xu Mirong suppressed the joy rising in his heart and muttered softly. Sister, what did you say? I said, it's the day when the spiritual grass in the central mountains will mature soon, and the picking festival is coming soon. I hope the Immortal Gate will be ready. Of course, I will definitely get good results at Immortal Gate this time. Senior sister, just wait and see. Wang Song wanted Xu Mirong to take a look at the outstanding juniors at Immortal Gate. If Xu Mirong and his senior brother, the leader, developed a love for talents and chose who they could become exchange disciples, it would also ease the tense relationship between the two. Lu Chuan, who had finished his work with Su Lianlian, was refining the foundation building pill in front of the alchemy furnace. He got up early in the morning to refine the elixir for Gold Core promotion. I sneezed out of nowhere. Who is talking about myself? Lu Chuan thought. Su Lianlian was still sleeping on the bed, her long black hair spread in front of her, lying quietly on the pillow, her slightly opened red lips opening and closing as if she was mumbling something, and her cheeks were rosy. For a while, she hugged the quilt tightly, and for a while, she pushed the quilt away, inadvertently revealing her tender and smooth skin. Coupled with the natural and cute look on her face, it was very eye-catching. Su Lianlian was woken up by the sound of sneezing, and when she opened her eyes, she saw Lu Chuan refining elixirs in front of the alchemy furnace. Lying on the bed, Su Lianlian looked at Lu Chuan's serious profile. Thinking of what Lu Chuan said when they hugged each other last night, he buried his face in the pillow, but smelled more of Lu Chuan's scent. The earlobes hidden in his hair became more and more red, and his face was hot. Although this fool is a bit stupid and a bit too carefree, he seems to really like him. The feeling of falling in love is very strange, but Su Lianlian doesn't hate it. He is just an undercover agent of the demon cult, while he is the new chief of the righteous Immortal Gate, and his identity is the opposite. But as long as you become the saintess of the demon cult, or even become the leader of the demon cult, it is not impossible to mediate the conflict between good and evil. In this case, you can kidnap Lu Chuan back to the demon cult. Currently, he has two competitors. Lin Qingshe is just a young elder, and Lu Qianqiu is just a mortal. Although Lu Qianqiu has called Lin Qingshe her sister, she will not give up to Lin Qingshe. Even if she can't be the only one in Lu Chuan's heart, Su Lianlian still wants to be the eldest sister. I want to bring Lu Chuan back to the demon continent to make Su Mumu envious. Su Lianlian's heart ignited the desire for cultivation strength. After refining the foundation building pill, she handed it to Su Lianlian and the two said goodbye. In order to prevent the foundation building from taking too long, Su Lianlian also took a small bottle of white liquid from Lu Chuan. It's probably saliva, just in case the love bug attacks during retreat. Lianlian, haven't you found a way to remove the love GU yet? You want to get rid of me now? That's great. We have made an appointment to help me become a saintess of the demon cult. Su Lianlian said angrily. Lianlian, you think too much, but this is too much trouble. What if I have to travel far away, what will you do? I will, if you travel far. I will stay with you. Su Lianlian finished speaking hesitantly and ran away. Lu Chuan closed the doors and windows, and after making sure that he would not be disturbed, he swallowed the pill to advance to Gold Core. The foundation building stage is perfect. Lu Chuan's spiritual energy level has long exceeded the limit of the foundation building stage. The amount and quality of the spiritual energy are beyond the imagination of ordinary foundation building stage. The spiritual energy in the Dantian had been accumulated to the limit. Lu Chuan compressed and refined the spiritual energy into a small round ball. The process of forming the elixir was recorded in the literature as being extremely painful. But after the pain of bone-tempering kung fu, the pain in the dantian was nothing more than mild. The ball gradually became solid and powerful, showing a golden color. Although it was small, it had great power. The spiritual energy in Lu Chuan's body had undergone a qualitative change. The strength has increased by more than 10 times. Lu Chuan has a feeling that now he can face Zhuo Tianya by himself, and he can even kill Zhuo Tianya just by using his spiritual energy. As Lu Chuan breathed, 3 days and nights had passed in the outside world. Lu Qianqiu and Lin Qingshe saw that Lu Chuan had been looking for them for a long time, and there happened to be a lantern festival in the West Town at night. The two discussed that they should go to the lantern festival with Lu Chuan and the other 3. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.